money, babe. I love America, but she's so dangerous, dangerous. I love America, but she's so dangerous. Somebody call her Superman, I am made of kryptonite. The wolves say it's chow time, what we about to eat tonight. What happened on Epstein Island, did it really take it life? I'm deeper than the ocean floor and higher than a satellite. Yes, I am an alchemist, I murder rubber skin. But with no religion, it's the return of the ancient Egyptians. West Coast, California, my family is Riverside. In the Empire, none of ain't a lullaby. This is where the gods dwell and a lot of mothers cry. You can feel the thunder cry. Choctaw Nation, future chief on the rise. From a different dimension, Star Trek Enterprise. I love America, but she's so dangerous, dangerous. I love America, but she's so dangerous, dangerous. Authentic jewels around my neck, dripping like King Tut. Pop locking on the pyramids, Scotty beat me up. I'm manifested as a god, I in my hieroglyphs. Yes, I am so cold, I can swim in a lava pit. My father who art in heaven, returning in the mothership. Dropping missiles and bombs, sinking the devil's battleship. Roswell crashes, UFO flying saucers. I'm the rap Captain EO, call me the Sunwalker. I'm the rap Captain EO, call me the Sunwalker. I love America, but she's so dangerous, dangerous. I love America, but she's so dangerous. Rocking with Jason Elm Street. Peace to the God. Peace to the goddess. I love America, but she's so dangerous.
All aboard! It is time to hop aboard my spaceship, because you are now tuned into What is the Matrix TV. I am your host, Jason Elm Street Williams, Master of the Universe, and I have a special guest reigning in from the Republic of China, Brother Charles Ross. How you doing today, Charles?
Hello. Yes, very excited. We have some unfinished business. I have done a lot of research. I've seen you've been going down some rabbit holes, and I'm very excited to discuss our findings and our theories, and to freely, openly analyze our very much corrupted history. So very happy to be here.
I agree. Definitely, word is corrupt. So let's start. History is a lie. Hitler's haplogroup was E1B1B. This haplogroup is usually found in North Africans, some Southern Europeans due to Moorish influence, also found in some ancient Egyptian mummies and many Black Americans. So Charles, what is the connection to what today people call African Americans or Black people's connection to the Moorish Empire, but in particularly Moors of Germany, so-called Black people of antiquity in Germany, and the swastika that is now a symbol of corruption and hate, but originally an indigenous Moorish symbol that deals with Moorish science, because we know that the Moors traveled the 7 seas. And that means that they were able to map and read the stars. So for me, the word pirate is Pi, which represents the mathematical symbol of pi. So when we say P-I-R-A, Pi Ra, the mathematicians of Ra were the Moors who were at sea, and that's beyond the most advanced people to ever be on this planet, because even today, the average human being or the most intelligent human being, if you put them out to sea, they would get lost. So, Charles, can you get the episode rolling when it comes to Moorish nobility in Germania, and then German or Ger Russia or Per Russia? Because through my research, because of you, it reminded me that the pale skinned Europeans in the land of Germany originally were in Germanic tribes that were always at war with each other. Uh, we learned this in school. But when I go to Russia and go to Germany, I see Moorish architecture. I see buildings that are clearly advanced. And we know that a group of people who are always at war cannot create such advanced structures. So let's start it off with the Moors of Germany and the nobility and the history that has been put over our faces to create a false reality.
Yes. So yeah, we are being disrespected on so many levels. I think that our intuition, intelligence, our ability to research things online has changed. I think in the past it was easier to fool people and disconnect them from their ancestry. But I would like to think that things have gotten better, and now we have more information at our disposal. And this is just we are just two men discussing our own lineage. At the end of the day, we're trying to find out who we are, where we came from, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's a positive thing. And whatever we find, we have to. Sometimes it's going to be something that we didn't expect that makes us uncomfortable. But
Yes,
we have to be honest, because truth will meet you halfway. You'll be able to accomplish things that you would have only dreamt about a year ago or 2 years ago.
yes, thank
And I
you.
think you are doing some incredible research. I think we're definitely connected in some way that we have to continue to do this, because
Yes,
we're being constantly blessed. And I think as you learn something, then you kind of learn how to remember, how to uh, you know uh, create some kind of connection with the invisible world, which I believe is 99% of our entire reality is invisible things. Like, I think as a child we have eyes to see, we have ultraviolet, infrared, we have the scope of color that we can see. But as we get older, we should be trying to enhance our ability to connect with the past, with our own ancestors, with the spirit realm. That's what we are naturally gifted with. We're gifted with a third eye. So I think there's a lot
so
we yeah.
no, go ahead. You were speaking on the invisible world. So as
Right.
we start introducing this episode, our last episode, our previous episodes for viewers, me and Charles, or Charles and I, when we speak of Moorish architecture, we're not just saying great, amazing, beautiful buildings. Charles is speaking on the metaphysical world. Like he said, about 99% or the majority of what we see is not what we see. Basically, so-called humans are only using about 10% of the light spectrum. So that means there's a whole
Mm.
reality going on that we're not seeing. So I wanted to play this snippet, and it's because of Charles that I'm even more aware of the Moorish architecture, but the detail and the purpose of this Moorish architecture as we get into the Nazis and Islam, and like Charles said, knowledge to free ourselves. Ancient Moorish architecture right here. So they would strip all this of copper, all right here. So all this is ancient. This is a castle, y'all. And look, for me, I feel the vibrations like boom, 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 boom. It's a device. So our buildings are devices, y'all. Just like pyramids. So go ahead now, Charles, when it comes to the invisible world and metaphysics and how that ties into the swastika symbol and
Yeah.
the Nazis, because basically people are taught to hate Hitler, taught to hate Nazis, which we could see certain obvious reasons, but we're not taught the occult science behind their movement. So go ahead when we were talking about Islam and Nazi Germany.
Yeah. So this is I mean, this goes against everything that we have ever been taught, everything that we have ever been presented with within educational establishments, um, uh, all the like everything that I thought represented the Third Reich, the Third Roman Reich, Hitler's Nazi Germany, is completely being shattered. I mean, I would like to offer as much proof as I can, which takes time because there's so many different angles. But first of all, I don't think Germany lost the war. I think that that was a fake loss. I think that there was a war between royal families of the old barbarian Moors and the Black Moor Tartarians. I think that the other side was the Nazi Party and the German Empire or the new socialist Roman Empire. And and I think once it's a Tartarian, which is a term that is belittled and is disregarded, but the term Tartarian is very important in this. Otherwise, you don't have the aggressor, you don't have the other side of this war. So you have a Tartarian and a Prussian government, which acquired this technological greed, this superiority. So it was unlikely to fail. If you look at the technology, like the simple speed and the ability of the Messerschmitt, which was a very important part of the Nazi war machine.
The technology,
Yeah,
you
the
mean
technology,
to spread
and you look at
communication
yeah, you look at the rocket technology because all of those scientists ended up working for NASA. Yeah,
for
almost all
NASA,
of them. Yeah,
Operation Paperclip?
Operation Paperclip, exactly. Now, I don't think Operation Paperclip happened the way that they tell you in history books either.
Uh,
I think there was an agreement made. I don't think there was ever like a bomb much more powerful than the Tsar bomb. But if you look at the Glocker, they had UFO like copper vortexes already back then. They had UFO technology back then. They had very large railway systems, and the airships. If you look at the airships, how many uh, uh, fighter planes could fit inside the airships? They were landing them on top of the airships too. You can find that online. I don't think there was any comparison between that empire, what we now know as Hitler and the Nazi Empire. Uh,
so
uh,
could
yeah,
that be? Didn't mean to cut off your knowledge.
yeah.
Question. They always speak of the Nazis getting their technology from a blonde-haired, blue-eyed race of aliens, the Pleiadians, and that could also be a conspiracy, or not a conspiracy, a false history to distract people. So a distraction to basically say it's not blonde haired, because basically saying so-called white
No,
people, the fake Aryans, when we know that the original
no,
Aryans are Moors. And so uh, if we were taught that the Nazis actually were using refurbished Moorish technology of their forefathers or their so-called masters who taught them, that changes history. And to me, that's why they changed the swastika to a different angle. I want to say counterclockwise. And that's how they're able to possibly start changing time with the CERN machine that is either in Switzerland or Antarctica. But long story short, if they can switch the swastika and program us to change our subconscious that naturally sees the swastika and opens up the knowledge that our ancestors left to connect to the stars and bring down that information into our so-called human avatar to activate the knowledge to basically be godlike,
Yeah,
to
so
be
I think sun is
potential.
definitely connected. Yeah, I think you're right.
and
But
and
I
so
yeah.
NASA, so I'll end it with this. So basically, like you were saying with Operation Paperclip, connecting the NASA astronauts to the Nazis, we learn about the fake moon landing. We're learning about HARP and Project Bluebeam. All this could be possibly connected to, once again, the fake alien invasion or them opening up wormholes to different dimensions and forever, not forever, but altering space and time. So
Yeah.
go ahead. That was just coming to me when you're
Mm.
speaking of the technology of the Nazis and symbolism.
Yes, all of the symbolism, I mean, all of it comes from the Vishnu Purana and Shiva, the Shiva statue. Um, you have to look into Kalki, the Kalki avatar, the Vishnu Purana. You have to look into the whole Gupta Empire. Those are the Mughals. That's where it comes from. Um, Everything, like all of it, like the swastika. Even CERN has a Shiva statue outside for that reason, because you have to have the symbolism in there. You have to have some truth in there. So yeah, so everybody who goes to maybe visit CERN, which by the way is I think it's um, in uh, Geneva, Switzerland, between Switzerland and France.
Okay, I'm moving
Yeah,
too fast for you.
that's okay. But anyway, there's a Shiva a statue outside of the CERN headquarters. Yeah, and
Okay, okay. I was wondering what you were referring to.
that's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
there is. And when he's referring to Shiva, he's basically, Charles is saying that the statue with the lady with like six arms coming out
Right.
each
Yeah. Yeah.
side is there, and that also represents a wormhole. Some people say it represents the center of the maze and the center of the earth, where reality, the original construct, uh, comes up out of.
Right. So
To
yes,
your life.
that's what you're saying is a really important part of this. Now this is the statue. I don't know if I can show you. Uh, I didn't send you a photo of that. Can you see that? The
No, but I
no
could
no
look it up.
okay okay, sorry, it's not working. Okay.
But go
Okay, so
ahead.
can you see that there? Can you see it's like a circle?
There, I'm typing it in. Shiva
Shiva
Sun.
is like a goddess. She's like in a dancing pose. She has a circle around her like a halo. And yeah, she's got yeah, I mean, so on a very basic level, um, this is all connected to Parvati, the name of the primary goddess, who is the consort of the Hindu god Shiva. Yeah, so this is so important, and I'll try to tell you why this is important, because this connects CERN to Nazi technology. And I tell you how the Nazis used Hindu teachings, proving that they are very much a part of the Vishnu Purana. So this is the Gupta Empire, arguably one of the oldest empires on Earth. And Hitler, the connection with Hitler and this is very important, because first of all you have the origin of the swastika, right? Then you also have the sailing the Yuga. Now, sailing the Yuga is a phrase coined by the author who went to school with Adolf Hitler, also wrote many books about him. So the full phrase is sailing the Kali Yuga, right? So sailing the Kali Yuga, that's, you have to look at that as this 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 author um, had this Hindu symbolism inside the whole concept of the esoteric Nazi German teachings. It's insane. Like, what does Hindu have to do with, yeah? Because you're asking yourself, what is the Hindu Shiva and sailing the Kali Yuga? What does that have to do with Nazi Germany, right? Well, they
Mm,
believe that that's where they originated from. They
mm.
were Mughals and Moors because they were colored, or
Wow.
they were swarthy, dark complexion.
And
Yeah,
then the word swarthy, thank you for saying that. I was looking it up thanks to you for this episode. And the word swarthy, there's another word that's similar, like swarthy, like Germanic. And it basically, like Charles said, it refers to dark skinned people. So before they were calling us black, ladies and gentlemen, they would call us tawny.
right. Yeah,
Tawny, Swarthy, Swarthy, Murs, Moors, Blackamoor, Barbarian, Berber, Tartar,
yeah.
Tartarian. That's where we
Tata.
get the
Yeah,
word barber. So when you see barbers, that's because the Moors are the original barbers. And when we took the troglodytes or the pale skinned Europeans up out of the caves, we as Moors had to shave them. We taught them how to bathe. We taught them how to clean themselves. You have to remember when pale skinned Europeans were left alone to have an opportunity to run their own civilization by themselves, it was illegal for them to bathe. So clearly, these troglodytes, cavemen, had to be given eventually names. But before they were given names, they had to learn from Ooga Booga because pale skinned Europeans had no language until recently. They had no, what we would say, higher essence of what they call Allah or God or Yahweh in the form of God being man. So when Charles is speaking of the sword in Islam and the connection with Shiva and then being born out of Shiva, I'm connecting it saying that their movement, like he said, was Moorish, but really knowledge. It's knowledge, which the sword represents. Because when you see the pale skinned European Shriners with their fez or tarbouch or tarnushan, their sword is over a pharaoh, a Moorish pharaoh, which means that if you tell this secret that the Moor is the original pharaoh and the creator of civilizations from north, south, east, and west, he's the ruler of reality. Their reality ends, so they have to keep a sword on our neck, and they take this oath. And so, just like the swastika here underneath the sword, the you guys see the pharaoh, but this is the swastika, which is even more advanced knowledge than a so-called Moorish man's face, because, like Charles is explaining, the swastika holds knowledge and information that is key to us ascending to higher levels of vibration and frequencies to open up a new world of magic and wonder that we clearly see exists when we look at Moorish architecture. So
yeah,
keep going, Charles. I'm fascinated with this, and
yeah.
even when we look to the picture to the left, you see the Moorish fez. So go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah, that's a Moorish fez. We have the Roman eagle, which was taken by the Nazis. Uh,
Ah,
uh,
Romans. So wait a second. So are you saying that the original Romans are Moors?
Absolutely, 100%. I've said that before many times.
Yes, because
The
we have.
entire yeah, yeah, especially some of the emperors. It's not difficult to trace the emperor lineage. There's actually an interesting connection between Carthage and Rome. Hannibal. I mean, when you watch movies like Gladiator, I mean, these are incredible movies. I love Ridley Scott. I love Gladiator, Russell Crowe. But they pretty much they were very inaccurate and whitewashed that entire movie. I mean, I think he actually fights Hannibal in one of the greatest scenes in cinema, where he has like a golden mask, so they're kind of hiding his face, but you see afterwards that it's a Caucasian man, and it should have been an African, because he was training lions, he was training tigers, elephants were part of his army. That is very well covered in history, that he took a lot of elephants from Carthage into Italy. Yeah. Uh, so I mean, it's kind of slowly we're kind of seeing the truth come out. I think there's a lot of there are a lot of people online that are kind of doing research. But people are angry if you find something. If you find like like an Elephant and Castle, there's a like an underground station called Elephant and Castle, and it's right next to Moore Street, and it's still there.
Wow.
Like if you find out the history of Britain, oh my God, like Britain,
Sent me a
especially the capital city, London, used to be called New Troy. That was its
really.
first name. Yeah,
Uh,
because one of the Trojan generals escaped to by ship to Britain, and he said the entire island of Britain was overrun by red-haired giants, and he had to kill thousands of them before he could uh, set up his own city, New Troy, now called London, or Londinium by the Romans before. Yeah, the true history is nothing like what we were taught at school, and so I think we have to find out the truth
so
because
what would
yeah.
so what's the importance of the viewers, so we can move forward? And I apologize,
Hmm.
skipping picture to picture.
Yeah.
What's the importance to finding a solution to ascending when it comes to them hiding that Islam and Tartarian and Moorish knowledge to
Right.
Shiva and technology? So now we're on to the fact that uh, before we get into the Holocaust and before we get into World War II, we're getting into the basis of the Nazis' ideology, their basis of knowledge and purpose, and then where they get this technology from. And then, like Charles spoke of, we today know as the greatest people to have the technology today is NASA and now Elon Musk. And Charles and I are linking that NASA and Elon Musk are connected to the Nazis, which are connected to the Moors. And we know that the Moors are the bringers of Islam to the pale skinned Europeans, like I said, because what you see here with the skull and bones, like Charles was saying, the Roman eagle, we can get into secret societies, we can get into Yale, the Ivy League, because those Ivy League schools that you hear about today and see, those were built by Moors. Those were built by dark-skinned, woolly-haired people that were taken over by pale-skinned Europeans. So when you go to USC, when you go to every single major university in America, I promise you, go to the oldest building on the campus and you're going to see Moorish architecture. You're going to see a huge building that is like a skyscraper on every major campus all throughout the East Coast. If you type in the Big 12, Big 10, Penn State, that's because pale-skinned Europeans took over those learning centers, because the whole entire planet was ruled by Moors. And so therefore we not only practice our education system, we performed it. And that's the difference. When you go to the doctor's office, they say this is a doctor's office of practice, or an attorney, a law office of practice. Well, we are performing our Moorish culture. This is why we need our land back. This is why we have to claim our land. I claim the land as a descendant of the Williams, the bloodline of the Williams, the emperor of America. I, Jason, declare that I am heir to the throne of America. So go ahead, Charles. So basically, in my rant is that I'm looking at the Islam. I'm looking at, like Charles said, the Roman cross, which is Heru, which comes from the Egyptian Mayat right here that you guys see. So that's the eagle, that's the portal, that's where we get into Shiva, knowledge on how to crack the frequency and time and Stargate, and then bottom, the skull and bone. So your top pale skinned Europeans belong to brotherhoods and sisterhoods, but brotherhoods that are founded upon Moorish science, that are covered up through racist, fascist distractions to hide the fact that they use more science to rule the world,
Mhm.
but they use it in reverse. So go ahead, Charles, as we move on to the next slide. If you have anything you were
Yeah,
saying.
no, I mean, this is an incredible picture. I only just saw this today. I can't believe that that is a real picture. I've got to have a look at that one and study it closely. Um, yeah, there's a connection here between, as I said, Hindu, the Vishnu, Prahan, but more importantly, I think that most of Hitler's philosophy came from a writer called uh, Kubizek. August Kubizek was a Czechoslovakian, and I think that's where Hitler's philosophy came from in life. And I think he wasn't accepted into art school because he he was black. He would have otherwise become a very famous artist. His work was incredible. He already drew up a Third Reich as a teenager. He was drawing up architecture that looked like some kind of futuristic Tartarian like cities. So he was that's what he was doing. He was drawing architecture.
So yeah,
He was so connected to architecture. But he was not accepted back then into polite society. He wasn't accepted into art school. But if you look at a photo, there's a photo of his friend August Kuzbek from school, and you can see that Austrian. That's a black man.
mm,
That's a very dark skinned.
Eric,
Uh,
hold it up again,
yeah,
please.
August Kuzbek. Can you see that?
Yes.
That's not a Caucasian.
Wow.
Like the lips, the hair. He's got curly black hair. Um, yeah. So I mean, this was like he was born 1888, so that would make him, I think, the same age as Hitler. He later wrote a very detailed book about his friendship with Hitler called "The Young Hitler I Knew." He wrote that in 1955, and and I think the philosophy, I think they stuck together because they were both Moors. They were both of a darker complexion. They may have been bullied, like they would have definitely stood up for each other. He was accepted into the Vienna Conservatory, where he became quite famous, and Hitler was not. So that destroyed their friendship in, like, I'm saying, 1908. Hitler
Mm,
was very angry with him, wrote him letters, said, "I thought we were doing this together." He became homeless, yeah, on the street basically. None of this I was taught at school. None of this. Um, he completed his studies in 1912 and was hired as a conductor in the orchestra in Marburg, Austria. Yeah. So, but like, imagine two people are basically connecting with their ancestry or something, and then one of them decides to um, to turn his back on the other, and I think Hitler had that like anger throughout his whole life. And I think the truth about Hitler, we just don't know. We just don't know. We have this Hollywood actor who looks like Walt Disney, right?
mm,
That's not like, okay. This man was obviously some kind of black nobility, because in the end he got the backing for all of his political endeavors. And when people realized what he was, what his overall philosophy was. But how can you change how can you change people's opinion even if you find this information? How can you change people's opinion and make them forget about the Hitler with the mustache, which is an actor, and look at the real Hitler, the real, and what he was really doing, and his Hindu background, his the reason for the swastika. The swastika is all about the stars. It's a star map. It's the Big Dipper in 4 different solstices. So that's just the movement of water. So he knew the way water moves in the east compared to water in the west. He knew that the swastika was a symbol, the greatest symbol of luck for his for whatever empire he was trying to build. This is an artist. This is a creative, architectural enthusiast, fine artist. Um, uh, yeah, and it's just, even as I'm saying it, I find it still. I'm probably never gonna fully understand what I'm saying now to you,
We
but I
will.
know, but
We
I know
will.
it's very hard because we have this image of this man with this mustache, this,
Yes.
and we have to accept that that is not what we're talking about. This is
Mm.
not the man. And I'm not even going to mention this to my German family. I don't, like, he praised Jesse Owens in the Olympics.
There we
He
go.
he was on his feet, like
He
praising
says that.
Jesse Owens at the Olympics. But
Yeah.
everyone thinks that the this empire was elitist, racist, Aryan supremacy, which again is not at all what was going on. I'm not saying that Hitler was a good person. I'm just saying let's find out who we're talking about. You know?
Jesse Owens said, Germans cheered for me and gave me flowers. Hitler did not snub me. He waved at me from his box. When I returned to the United States of America, the president did not even send me a telegram, and he had to go through the back. Can you imagine winning a gold
Yeah,
medal for the United States of America?
insane. It's
Same thing,
insane.
my father, when he was drafted into the Vietnam War and came back, he said, much love, Dad, but he taught me, and this is something I'm sharing that I had to hold in as a family kind of secret. But when my father landed in San Francisco from Vietnam, he landed to people, he said, spitting at them, protesting, throwing things at them. So it's the same thing. Coming from a country to where in Vietnam, the Viet Cong were telling them, black man, go home. This isn't your fight. Them in the jungle seeing statues that look like them. This is real talk. I want everyone listening to go study the Cham dynasty. And those are Moors. So I know I'm rambling, but go ahead, Charles, when you were speaking of Jesse Owens and
Yeah.
Adolf Hitler, because during those Olympics, basically Adolf Hitler, I don't know if they were using steroids or using certain chemicals to basically win, but basically that whole Olympics was that Hitler had the superior race, supreme race, the Aryan race, and they couldn't be beat. And here comes Jesse Owens, and he beat Germany to win the gold medal. And like I always say, if we want to distinguish who are the extraterrestrials and Martians and the humans, separate all the Moors on the planet. Don't allow us to run for any other country, just Moors, and then let us compete. And you'll see the difference that us as so-called Moors are Martians. And the symbol that Charles is referring to as the Big Dipper or the Polaris Star or Abraham, where you get the word Abraham from. It's really Abraham, and it refers to a star system and how we were able to map that out. But for it's a symbol on how to get up out of here. And that we were able to, this is why I was showing you guys this to the left with the wormhole, that our ancestors in Kemet left us hieroglyphs, which I call hieroglyphs, which are heat Heru's lyrics, Jason's lyrics. So once again, I'm saying that the hieroglyphs are the lyrics that us as Moors and pharaohs left, which are instructions on how to open up these wormholes and gateways to get up out of here. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Charles, as we move
Yeah.
on to the Black Nazis. Because of you, I was typing in Moorish Nobility, Magi, different names. And
Mm.
once again, I found this author, Veronica Kuznar, and she spoke of the Black Nazis. I wasn't able to get into super detail because it was hard to find. But once again, like you were saying,
Mm. Yeah.
what
No, this
what
is
is the
fascinating.
purpose?
I mean,
What is the
you.
purpose to hide like you were saying, the original Hitler being a Moor, and
Mm.
that relation to what we'll get into with Kanye West and Michael Jackson, what they discovered and what they've been screaming? What is it about the so-called pale-skinned European Jews relationship with the Moor?
Okay, so well, we have all. First of all, we have to separate the the fictional side of this. Because there is a narrative that is not the truth. That's just something that's been woven into these historic events. Then the footage has been replaced. Yeah, so there's a lot of footage of Hitler, and he sort of never really looks like he's in a particular um, uh, uh, real life event. It does look staged. The more I look at these images, but uh, but uh, but there's so much footage of him. There's these large, um, almost like Hollywood sets of these troops, all of these events that make it very hard to convince people of a different narrative. So what you have to do is you have to look at the symbolism. I think the symbolism is always the key with everything. So so if
That,
you look at
that
the swastika is the Big Dipper, which is also called Orion's belt. So why do you use that symbol, black on white? Well, that's already Moorish a color palette, right? You've got the black cross, you've got the white background, right? That's shadow and light. That goes back to ancient Egypt. Okay, then you've got the Big Dipper, spring, summer, winter, fall, and the North Star in the center. That is without a shadow of a doubt what it is. That's what the original Buddhist swastika is, which is thousands of years older. But even older than that is the Egyptian geometry. And I'm going to blow your mind right now. The Egyptian geometry of the Big Dipper is the exact location of each of the pyramids on every great Kemetan plateau. Not just Egypt. There are pyramids in China and America, obviously too. There's hundreds of them in the United States. Okay, thousands even, right? Even in China, there are pyramids that are placed in exactly the same geometrical Fibonacci sequence. It shouldn't be called Fibonacci sequence because it doesn't come from some Italian, Italian Moor, most likely, if we look into it, right? So uh, the placement of the pyramids on the Egyptian plateau, which is the easiest one to talk about because everyone knows that one, yeah, that one is not covered. In China, the government told the farmers to start planting crops on top of the pyramids so nobody would ever see them for what they are. I know where they are. I can tell you where they are. Um, uh, if you follow the geometry of Orion's belt, if you follow it down, you at the summer solstice you get each pyramid, the top of each pyramid. You can line them up. Many people have done that. Yeah, online.
yes. And as you guys know, viewers, I've traveled to Kemet, Tameri, or Tamore, what Charles was referring to, ancient Egypt. And what fascinated me when I had my voyage and initiation wasn't just the pyramids, but was what we see in the middle is that when we go and visit the pyramid, that's mind blowing. But I didn't understand until I went the temples and how the temples are like the size of a town in a small city, so like a college campus, and that the temple as you see right here, to the middle and to the right and left. The temples, each temple was based on different thoughts, what we call Tahuti, or thought, an idea. But an example of certain temples were based off of the body. And coincidentally, today, what do they say? Your body is your temple. And so, even to the left, the modern Hebrew letters Y A YAHWH makes the image of man. So Yad He Wa Yahweh, Yahuwah, that Hebrew glyph, when writing it down, breaks down the man. So that means that our ancestors understood and were able to practice and perform the thought process that they are what we refer to as God, are trying their best to become like a God, and setting up cities and setting up structures that align with your body, then align with the star system. So imagine being inside of a pyramid, a giant pyramid, on a slab that's like not necessarily radioactive, but electromagnetic. And then they turn on the pyramid and it's vibrating at a certain frequency and sound. For me, you were able to either destabilize your atoms, like they show you in Star Trek and the movie Stargate as well, and transport yourself across the universe. That's why the god of ancient Kemet, one of the deities, is called Atum, or Atum, or atom, because it's a tone of frequency of atoms, photons, neurons, and electrons, which means we're particles of the sun, which means if you would be able to break up your cells and break and unlock your cells. And so also, if we weren't able to destabilize our atoms, you're talking about advanced astral projecting, to where you were able to take your ka, your ba, your so-called spirit, your ether, your air that operates your avatar, and shoot it out to the Orion's belt and get the information from Orion's belt, because there's civilizations in those star systems, which people would say is simply a reflection of land masses on this actual infinite matrix. And they call this the Akashic or Akasha records. And so this is why the pharaohs and the priesthood said they had a connection to the source, or the mothership, or the motherboard, or what today they call the dog star. Spelled backwards is God. So having a direct connection to God and being able to store that information at your seat, which is your pineal gland. Like we were saying, pirates, the Moors were pirates, and then your pineal gland, where they say the seat of God dwells and sits. And so go ahead, Charles. We're just breaking it down to give us access to ascension to get up out of here. So back to the purpose that I'm learning. If they wanted to hide the whole planet, not just so-called white people, Asians, black people, the whole planet is being given a disservice. It doesn't matter what color you are, because I feel that certain people wouldn't even be racist if they were taught the truth of the Moors. So now you're talking about a group of people who control Hollywood, control the distribution of certain films, and distribute an ideology of false reality to the minds and masses of the population to create racism, to create division, all to hide the truth of the Moorish legacy. Because as long as the whole entire planet is ignorant to the Moorish legacy, we're all underneath the spell, which means that the so-called, I'm not going to say all, but the so-called pale-skinned Jews who maybe look like they're in power are being used to change time and space because they're sorcerers, because they have the Hebrew text, the Sanskrit, and basically it's to halt the time for us to learn how to read those hieroglyphs. They know how to read the Hebrew. That's why they're called rabbis. Ra, rabbis. So they're studying Ra. So they have to keep you disconnected from Ra, which is yourself, because you are Ra. I am Amin Ra. I am Amun. I am Amin Ra. That is I. It's a
Mm.
science. So if you keep me away from that, I, that's where you get the word nigger. That would make you ignorant. And so if I'm ignorant, that means that I'm useless, and then I can be pimped. I can be used. I can be shipped. And that's why you learn about our names. Our names are government property. They use that as a like a farming system in a sense. They call it not the wicker man, the straw man. And so now you're like an invisible Moor, not knowing who you are, being shipped all around as an entity, because you are a business. You are a living entity. And so this gets wicked, because now they, like we say, they use words to bind us. They use word spells, which are a sword, because we put S in front of word, so that's a sword. And then if we take the S out and put an L, that's worlds. So our world is created by words. So if I, as God, are the dog, the top dog, atomic dog star Sirius, if I'm not able to connect to Orion's belt, the whole planet is under satanic worship, which is the temple of Seti. And
Yeah.
so to give it to the mic to Charles, that for me means like the Raiders of the Lost Ark was teaching us in Indiana Jones. I wrote down when you were speaking, the Jews and the Nazis are in cahoots. The pale skinned Jews and the Nazis are in cahoots. And before we came on, Charles, you were asking me to get the picture with the Jews and the Nazis. And so, can you get into that? How that might be important, that that's a trick that they're doing, because every
Yeah.
time
I
I
mean, it
turn
might
on
be.
the channel, the Jews are always talking about Hitler. If you hate Hitler so much, why is he always on TV? You guys control Hollywood. It's an agenda to keep us all divided. Because if they can distract us until the mothership comes, they can enslave us. They can implant a false idea in our minds long enough until the crafts come to where they can they can make up these crafts. They can reverse technology, and people might not know where to land, or people might be getting on the wrong ships. So this is what I'm feel is up for us to answer as well. But go ahead, Charles, when you were speaking of the importance of knowing that the Nazi Party is linked to star worship, extraterrestrial worship now, which you said is Orion's belt. Some might say the Big Dipper or the Polaris star. Um, and that swastika represents that star system where certain beings come from that gave these group of people knowledge and technology, but these are Moors. And pale skinned Europeans are the front and the distraction to keep the world from understanding that basically Moors ruled the world up until recently, and they using Hitler as one of the last buffers to break the spell. And I think we're close.
Yeah.
So the Nazis and the Jews are basically the top visible pale skinned European groups outside of the secret societies. So if those codes are broken, that they all in secret use Moorish knowledge, um, we can break the spell. So go ahead um,
Well,
with the
we yeah. So all of the countries that formed the Axis, as it's referred to, the Axis Empire, the Nazi Empire, were all of these star worshipping Moorish nations. So you have Japan, which didn't call the Big Dipper the Big Dipper. They called it Ursa Minor, which is
Ursa.
Ursa.
And you get that in the Bible too. Most comes from
Yeah.
with an
Yes, it's
X.
in the
Correct.
Bible. That's in the Bible. Yeah, Ursa Minor's in the Bible, but they call it the bear. So the bear becomes the wagon becomes a plow. Ursa Minor is the final uh, a Big Dipper, because there's also a Little Dipper and a Big Dipper that go around the pole star. So the bear is the beginning of the bear hibernation in autumn. Then the wagon is the autumn, was the time to move from higher pastures to lower ground, and then the plow is the season for plowing, basically, right? It's a plow. So
Fertility
I th-
goddess.
I think they even designed their own family culture. And then when you realize that there are native Japanese people that are Caucasian, that are the native black black Ainu people, they're called, and they live in Japan. They've lived in Japan for thousands of years. They're called the Ainu. Every family has a bear called Ursa in Japanese. It's a bear. That's the name of the bear. The bear lives with the Ainu people until the children grow up. So from birth there is a baby bear and a baby child, and the bear and the child, they become one within the family. So the Ursa is the name of the bear, which has this ancient star symbol, which is obviously the bear in the sky. So this is so insane. Like everything is so methodically already kind of connected, that you have to put the Japanese with the German if you create any kind of narrative, because they're both worshipping the same star signs, because one's from Iran, one is from India.
Keep going with the Chinese. Can you get deeper to
Yeah,
explain
the
to
Chinese.
people that the original? So when I was in South Africa, y'all, we learned about the Sands people. Look up the Sands people, and you'll see that's your original prototype of the Asians. So
Yeah,
go into detail with that, because I believe it was you who sent me this picture. Maybe I got it, but the Black Chinese, if you could see it,
yeah, yeah,
can you
yeah.
go
I
into
mean,
detail with that? Because I have a
yeah,
book called Ancient Egyptians and Chinese in America.
right. So the Japanese, that I'm talking about, they actually have a native black, um, Aboriginal people there, a tribe called the Ainu. They tried to remove them from Japan, but they didn't succeed. They are still in Japan now. The interesting thing is they have a tattoo that they do over their mouth, which gives them very large black lips, like a big smile. Especially the women, they have this large tattoo, and they have a baby bear live with each family that grows up at the same age as the firstborn born child. So that is that is obviously a symbolism for the Ursa Minor. Ursa is the name of the bear in Japanese. So that's incredible when you find out, because it means we're talking about a very ancient seafaring civilization that populated Japan probably before anyone else ever arrived there. And it's the same, obviously the same in mainland China. Uh, there are pyramids in China that have very very large, obvious geometrical shapes to them. They are in the Xi'an province. They are very obviously stepped pyramids, same as the ones we find in like South America, Mesopotamia too.
So,
Um, yeah,
but go
but they're
ahead.
not allowed to excavate. The government won't let them excavate, and they have basically petitioned farmers to grow crops on top of them so that you can't see them from the sky. But yeah, there are hundreds of them. I mean, you have to look at some of the Guangzhou pyramids in China.
Yeah.
They also have they have also find mummies there, mummified.
Oh, have you
Yeah,
looked up the mummy, the Chinese mummy lady? And they found her, and she was perfectly preserved, y'all. And so the same mummification practices that we find in Kemet or Tameri we find in what Charles is speaking of, China, because
Yeah,
those are the same people. The original
yeah.
people of all these lands are what we refer to today as Moors. You're holding something up for
I'm
us to
trying to
see?
hold. I just want to show you this picture, which I didn't send you earlier. I don't know if it's gonna work,
No, we
but
can't see it. Oh,
uh,
yeah, kind of. If you hold it,
it was there
yeah,
for like a second. I don't know. Can
there
you
it
see that?
goes. Yeah, it's glitchy, but yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. So that's obviously not a natural. You know, that's not a natural mountain. That's a.
So
I wish I
yeah,
could just show you this. Anyway, yeah, you can Google. I'll type it in.
yeah.
You can Google these places.
Okay, I'll Google it while we're live for the people, and while
Yeah,
Charles and I look
Chinese
this up,
pyramids. Google that. The
Chinese.
town is called Xi'an. Xian.
Well, there you go. So our last episode, even to the right, perfect, Charles. First civilizations of the Americas through studies, is a fact, are called the Olmecs. America before 1492, right around the time the Moors fell in Granada to Spain, right?
Yeah.
Charles and I were just speaking of the Chinese. In our minds, because of Hollywood and certain things as well, we think that the Chinese are the pale skinned Chinese that you see today. But the original Chinese are what we have on the screen as black Chinese originally as well. So these Chinese that were sailing, these Murs and Kim or Cam, that's when we learn vowels again. So uh, Kemet, Khem or Kham or Cham, came over here to the Americas and mixed in with their Moors or relatives on this side and brought their culture, like Charles is saying. So they were building pyramids in China, brought that over to the Americas, and vice versa. That's because this planet was a inter is still a intergalactic school. So whether it was Timbuktu, Chichen Itza, El Kemet, all over the planet, you would go to different land masses to learn, whether it was learn how to grow certain crops, learn star systems, learn how to fly, learn how to map stars, like so many schools of thought, schools of Tahuti, all across the planet. And we shared with each other. That's why when we were able to plug into this Matrix hologram video game, it was a utopia. Look at all the reminiscence of an advanced civilization where I'm even learning like radium and certain ether and mixed in with the pyramids and the Moorish buildings we see. That's how people were able to fly. All these magical things that we speak of, like Charles was saying in the previous episode, miracles in the Bible, we have those magical abilities. And that's why they're confusing us with all these tyrannical leaders. But to keep on the focus of the black Chinese, the Olmec eventually, those Chinese mixed in. So you see the original Olmec statues with the lips, nose, and then look at my eyes. People would say my eyes are chinky eyes, Asian eyes, just like the Olmec statue. And then up top, your rulers of today, like Charles pointed out, practice Islam, practice Moorish science. Whenever you see this in your leaders, that means that the Jews of today, the Nazis of today, and all your secret societies, all, like Charles said, points back to extraterrestrial star worship. And then to end my rant, to give it to Charles, I just finished reading this book, Charles,
Hmm.
that I got. It's called The Lost World of the Cam, the Trans-Pacific Voyages of the Champa. And it breaks down how the peoples of the Southeast Asia formed megalithic buildings, and they were a seagoing empire that extended into Indonesia, Fiji, Tonga, Micronesia, and beyond. And this transoceanic power reached Mexico, the American Southwest, and South America. The Champa maintained many ports in what today is Vietnam, Cambodia, Indonesia, what Charles was speaking of earlier, Sulawesi, Sumatra, and Java. And their ships piled the Indian Ocean and the Pacific, bringing in, like Charles said, bringing Chinese, African, and Indian traders to far off lands, including Olmec ports on the Pacific coast of Central America. Statues in Vietnam of the Champa show men and women distinctly African in appearance, and the Champa royalty were known to consist of nearly every racial group. They had iron tools, built megalithic cities, and finely cut basalt and granite, such as the city of Mai Son in central Vietnam. Its construction is identical to that of Tiwanaku in South America. And it breaks down how Cham and Kim, the Kemites, and Cham are the same people, the Egyptian fluent. So what we refer to as the Phoenicians, Charles spoke of early elephants and Buddhists in North America, the search for metals, trans-Pacific voyaging, the basalt city of Madal, the Cham in the Olmecs, the Cham in Colombia, Eastern Island in the Cam, which are all Moors. Because even when we go to Easter Island, you see this headdress. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
I give it to Charles as I um, type in the Chinese pyramids. So we were speaking of, so anything to say with the black Chinese again, with the Nazis and the black Nazis, as we move on to the next picture? And
Yeah.
Atlantis,
Mhm.
what does that correlate to anything for our solutions on what we're speaking of tonight?
Uh, yes, I mean, obviously, this empire um, had the ability to go beyond to undiscovered lands, lands that are not part of our map. But even our maps are completely wrong. If we look at the actual landmass, Russia becomes much smaller. Um, I think the United States becomes much smaller. You suddenly realize that Africa is this kind of giant central sort of landmass, and yeah, I mean the scale of everything is wrong. Um, like countries that are very small just have a a weaker political relationship with Western cartographers, but those are the maps that we are given, and obviously everything has been kind of turned upside down. So north is south, south is north. So it's hard to kind of find cities, but you can find the cities if you do some research, especially the original names of cities. But I think the big issue was in 1312, Pope Clement dissolved our the this Vox Excellis, or this ancient Egyptian mysticism was outlawed, and then obviously uh, during this when the slave trade supposedly happened, people weren't even allowed to learn to read. So there was no connection. I mean, between the original Native American Moor and their past ancestry, their teachings, their history. They had no ability to learn anything because they weren't allowed to learn to read as children. So so that's how that disconnect was ensured. Um, Even the native names of the Americans, like all of their tribes, their ancestors were removed, and they were given the label persons of color between 1860 and 1880. Yeah, so there were some tribes like the Nipmuc tribe. They had their name removed and were then recategorized as persons of color. And you have this happen with the Wichita, with the Moors, with all over the United States, because
Can
that
you
was
explain that?
their homeland. Sorry.
Can you please go deeper with that to
Yeah,
explain what you were going there, linking the Moors of America and the Washita Moors? Because
yeah.
Louisiana and New Orleans was the capital. I, I'm still learning, y'all. So I'm asking you because I don't want to say fact, but from my understanding, Louisiana was the capital of America. On what today they say New Orleans or like Lutcher, Louisiana. Uh, was New Orleans the capital of America? And it was ran by the Washita Moors, which today are the
No,
oldest people on the planet. Uh,
uh, well, that's possible, but there wasn't such a thing as a United States. That none of that. That is
well,
all.
America.
That was created by the colonialists.
Okay,
Um,
well, America
in
before.
the 1770s, yeah, and before,
Because I'm
yeah.
asking that to say because of Williams. You were telling me about Williams in the surname, and you were mentioning
Oh yeah.
Washington. So my bad.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not. I don't know if there's a connection between Williams and Washita, but I know that Williams is one of the Moorish names because I have the Moorish crest. Yeah. So there are many Moorish names that we consider to be Western European names, like Price, Moore, Canning. Uh, yeah. I mean, there are just so many. Even Smith. Smith is a Moorish name. Blacksmith was the Moorish, the a Moorish artisan, the trade of working with iron and copper and gold. So all of those names are Moorish names. Yeah. So yeah, Portugal is an unusual country though, because I've tried to study Portugal, which was invaded by the African Moors in the 8th century. So you could almost therefore say that the Crusades were a retaliation for the invasion of the Moors in Spain, Portugal, France, Belgium, Germany, and Britain. Those were the countries that were invaded by the Moors. Uh, so, were those did those countries exist 200 years ago? Well, no, they didn't, because these were all like small empires, principalities, and they all used that eagle and the two lines, the two intersection crosses. The swastika is also one of those Moorish symbols. So, I mean, even if you look at the old royal guard in Russia, they, you think they have a hat on, but they don't. That's their hair. That's their hair. That's insane to find out because you're not used to seeing
It, it,
hair like that, but that
mhm.
was their hair. Um, and these people, they were called the Abkhazian tribesmen, and that was not a hat, that was their hair. And you see that tribesmen's the uniform, all of that is worn by the British royalty, by the Windsors. Yeah, even today, the British Royal Guard have hats that are mimicking the Russian Abkhazian tribesmen, yeah, of the 19th, 18th century. Yeah,
And so what
that's
Charles is go
crazy.
ahead. Uh, so I always thought that too, and thanks to brothers like you researching and researching. So what Charles is referring to is when you guys right there, there it goes. Let me enlarge the screen so they can
That
see.
that is not a hat.
Right. So when you guys see the pale skinned European modern day Russians, they have to have a strap and a hat to mimic the original Moors of that of Russia. And
Well,
Russia is Ra
yeah,
because remember AEIOU. So Ru Sa Ru. So we'll say instead of Russia, let's say Ra Sa. And then now we go forward again to the picture. We see the swastika to the right on a 1907 Corn Palace in South Dakota. So let me get Charles again.
so that's the modern day British Royal Guard.
Boom.
Yeah, that is the British Royal Guard today. Every ceremony, like the King's birthday, you will see them. They have sentry postings at Buckingham Palace, St James's Palace in London, British, yeah, Army household. Yeah, yeah,
And before I go look some more stuff up, I wanted to show what Charles was showing us with. This is his Chinese pyramid he was
yeah.
speaking on earlier. Did you have any science behind this as well, other than it being aligned with Orion's belt?
They are aligned with Orion's belt. Yes, there is drone photos of those. There are also maps of those. I mean, you can also look through like Google Maps, but I mean, yeah, Google Earth will also show you that they are aligned the same way as Kemet, as the Egyptian pyramids. You can also compare them to the pyramids in Mexico. They also have the same geometry. It'll blow your mind. The same with I was also looking at some Hindu shrines that are built on top of pyramids. Even
Mm,
even some Buddhist monasteries are built on top of pyramids, built in the same geometry as aligned with Orion's belt, usually facing the old Mecca. As Mecca is the direction that you have to pray in Islam, right? The Muslims.
right,
So
and remember, for those watching the channel, I'm claiming that uh, the new Mecca is also a distraction, because the word Mecca doesn't always have to refer to a Muslim or Islamic site. You can have a fruit Mecca, a clothing Mecca. That's why they call this Old Mexico, Old Mexica. And then when we pronounce it, Old Mexica, Mexica, and Chi, XI, just like Charles was saying, the Qi dynasty, XI, which the Olmecs were called. And then the
yeah,
same culture out here. So
yeah,
Old Mecca, Old Mexico. So Old Mexico for I is Old Mecca. And where is a Mecca in California? Once again, in Riverside County, which connects to the Colorado River, which connects to the Grand Canyon. In
right.
last episode, Charles was saying, and some of us know, that the Grand Canyon connects to Africa. And earlier, Charles was pointing out how the maps, by giving us false maps and making our minds believe a false reality of a certain amount of continents, when there's an infinite amount of other land masses with advanced civilizations, it shuts down our mind to not think further and become more intelligent and to answer
Yeah.
the
When
riddle.
Yeah, when you realize that magnetic north has been used to construct the pyramid of the moon, natural caves, the pyramid of the sun, Kemet, Mexico, uh, the Quetzalcoatl, the step pyramids, the Chinese pyramids that they've encouraged farmers and paid them a lot of money to farm on top of, which makes no sense. Everything they're trying to hide from us. Even the temple of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered flying serpent, is built aligned with with magnetic north. Sorry, not true north. True north is a different direction. Magnetic north is the important one, not true north.
And Charles gets deep into electric magnetic energy
Yeah,
and ether. And when we look at the Moorish garbs, it looks as if it's one of those x-ray things over you. You know how they, when you go to the dentist, if you get an x-ray, they have to put that type of sheet thing over you like a blanket. Um, so when I look at those garbs, and when, because of Charles looking into the
yeah,
electrical swords, that meant that the entire planet, the reason they had that type of garb is because the buildings and the pyramids were activated. And so you needed that to possibly transport and to use the machines that were all around you. So go ahead. I'm listening as we get
Yeah,
into
but I mean,
Kanye.
it's got nothing to do with Kanye West. I don't, but it
Right,
is Kanye
right,
West.
right.
Yeah, I don't know what Kanye West is doing. I have no idea.
Well, and for me, Charles and I were discussing earlier. Um, it sounds well. Well, Charles, give your opinion. What you were saying is if because I agree that it
Mm,
sounds that either Kanye is holding back, but we have to remember he admits that he's on medication. He admits that he's going in and out of hospitals and stuff. So we cannot take him full seriously compared to uh, Charles and I, who are really investigating, really
yeah,
digging it, really channeling, really receiving this from Orion's belt, and researching it. Clearly, this information Charles and I are researching is being sent to us. And so,
yeah,
when we talk about Hollywood artists, I'll let you get the mic, Zach, as we bring it in here. Uh, Kanye West, like Charles was saying, he's not the source. He's not the
no,
source. Just like we're saying Hitler are these fake people, imposters in front of the Moors. It's the same thing with Kanye. I would say he's in front to hide people from learning who I am, so we can get the show on the road. Because he's a distraction if he's not bringing the full information. So
yeah, that's true. And I think that's exactly what he is. He's misdirection. He might not even be the real Kanye West. Some people have like analyzed his like earlobe, his facial structure. Something's not exactly fitting. I think Kanye West. Obviously, I love his music. I think his music is incredible, and it always will be. Um, but I don't know what's going on there. There's like just I think sometimes there's like you can see he's suffering. There's a lot of anger. Sometimes what he says doesn't align with what he said a few years ago, and I don't know exactly. He doesn't ever sit down and talk for long enough for me to understand whether or not he's being given information to front information, or what his actual beliefs are. Because he doesn't mention the Moors much, but he does want to talk about the Third Reich.
there you
He
go.
keeps
Get
yeah.
into it. Get
I mean,
into it because
some of the concepts are very simple. Like, okay, why should we be separating races in all these different, categories? Because we keep separating demographics all over the place, and we shouldn't. Yeah, because the Moors didn't do that. Because the Moors had I mean, even the Romans had the Thespian Legion. They had the Maurice. Uh, uh, I mean, if you think about all of these empires, they had to rely on unity in order to exist and survive. So I think when you start to separate people into different categories, you're doing that to weaken them, to manipulate them, to turn them against each other. Because as long as you're fighting another person because of the shade of their skin color, which is absolutely insane. But if you're doing that, you are not paying attention. You're not paying attention to how you're being controlled. And I think ending racism is kind of the point. The point is to stop this kind of racist thing, because in the end we realize we're all sort of connected. And I think the Tatar, the Aryan, that's an empire that unified and ended up ruling the world for centuries. And the great technological achievements of that empire are what basically we are experiencing now. The electric car isn't new. It was around in the early 19th century. I mean, electromagnetic energy is not new. That was used by the Moors for hundreds of years. People had their own like saltwater batteries inside the galleys to keep the lights on in the seafaring merchant vessels. So I mean, the pyramid has a functionality too. Uh, they are also creating mana from heaven. That's the whole point of the pyramid. It's supposed to create mana in the king's chamber and draw water out of the ground in a very dry, inhospitable land. Uh, and when you see those large pillars underneath the pyramids, the large chambers that everyone's being told there's nothing underneath the pyramids, there's no point excavating, and every time they excavate, they find another chamber, another tunnel. because there are rivers flowing underneath, harnessing etheric energy, and 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 I think these secrets are being kept by a small number of people. But if we open those up to the whole world, then we could all ascend one level to a higher consciousness, and maybe we could start to, you know, live forever, find new land, uh, communicate. We could start, using telepathy and all of these God-given skills that some people seem to have, some people don't, and we can also start to realize what our purpose is, and what's wrong with that. Why are we stopping people from achieving that goal? Because I think that's the end of all suffering. We can create our own paradise now. You know, and I,
And
and
that's
I, and
exactly
and
it.
that's why we're going to win,
Yeah,
because that is the higher frequency. And if you have that high frequency, that crown chakra frequency, then we have to win. Like it's impossible for us to lose. That's my opinion. Yeah.
I agree. For me and uh, with Kanye on the other side, symbolism is up to us. Once again, we don't worship man, we don't worship other men. We have to put in our self work, our own self study.
Yeah.
So, because of Kanye, I want to thank you, brother. I'm sure you're watching. I want to thank Ye, which brings me to Yah, which takes you to you being Yahweh, or that you being God. And then when I look at the vultures, I'm like, okay, he can't, or not can't, he necessarily cannot say what we're saying in the sense, and imagine what he really knows behind the scenes. So he's saying these fools are vultures. He's saying they're vultures because when we look at the so-called, not all, but so-called Jewish community, we talk about entertainment, the sports. So you have all these so-called Moors making pale-skinned Europeans wealthy through football, basketball, baseball, soccer. I mean, if you take out Moors out of Hollywood, out of entertainment, out of food, like matter of fact, take out Moors out of culture, and then look vulture. So take out the V, you have culture, and that's a freestyle. I never saw that. So and
I don't see Vulture as a diss for the Roman Empire at all. I mean, if he
but
has any idea what that symbol means, where it comes from,
you
I
see
don't
it
think I
though.
don't think Vulture is a diss. But
No,
maybe it is. I
right,
don't.
right. So it could be double. So vulture
Yeah, double
in
entendre.
the
Yeah, for
sea
sure.
is the culture of the Moors, because that's a vulture, or you could say another bird, whether it's an eagle, vulture, a
Yeah.
peacock, um, all these different birds, heru. Either way, when we look at the family Moorish crest of Germany, of Europe, of the Holy Roman Empire, and like Charles points out, it's all Moors, whether it's Russia or Germany or Germania or pre-Russia. All these places around the world are Moorish. So Kanye West, to I, is sending us a code for us to wake up and study this. And so once we
Can I be honest
understand,
though? I don't think Kanye West knows.
you don't think he knows.
I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't think he knows where the black nobility. I don't think he knows about the Orange House of Orange. I don't think he knows about that. I think he's out
He's
of the
in
loop.
fashion. For
I hope
me,
I hope he does. I mean, he must have some idea. But
for
but if
me,
he
there's no way he wouldn't, because he's
so
in
if he
fashion.
knows, that means he is misinforming.
Well, that's I said. He's still, like I tell people. We showed you guys the sword, right? Remember when we showed the Nazis with the sword? He's one of them. He said he's
Yeah.
a black Nazi, so he can't say too much.
Mm,
But he's giving us enough for us to do our justice, as he already said. I sacrificed my mom, and I would, excuse me, not I. Kanye West said that he sacrificed his mother, and
right.
he
Right.
regrets it,
Yeah. Yeah. He did.
or
Yeah.
that they killed his mother. either way, if he's a clone or not, when you do something like that or a part of that, you have to ride that out. So it's up to
Yeah, that
us.
was a strange. That's a strange one. We should talk about that. How his mother died. We should talk about that sometime. I can do
Yeah,
like a bit of research. There's some kind of plastic surgery procedure or something
yeah,
Botox
well, they
procedure.
killed
I'm
it.
not sure.
I told people that years ago. For me, the original Kanye West died in the car crash. They replaced him. Possibly same thing with Lil Wayne. The original Lil Wayne died from a drug overdose. Then his lookalike, people say clone, but his lookalike died, and then the one that you see now is not the real Lil Wayne. That's why the raps aren't the same. That's why it doesn't look the same. All that. Same with Kanye, like you were saying. They murder these people because they'll either murder you or you get to go to off the other land to the other land masses where certain celebrities went faking their death, because not all celebrities died. A lot of them had the option to
Yeah,
tell public that they faked their death. Same thing like Whitney Houston, the bath incident. Either it's how you exit stage. Same thing with
right.
Prince. Same
Yeah,
thing with
yeah,
Michael Jackson. From my understanding, the real Michael was burnt so bad. Some say he died, but some say no, Jay. He just got burnt so bad they just had the look-alike, and then he would walk around in costume. And so a lot of the celebrities, like Donald Trump, they have lookalikes. So it is
yeah,
up to us, just like Yeshua, just like the teachings of Jesus for people who follow that. What did he teach his followers? Same thing Charles and I teach. Did I not teach you that the kingdom of God is within you? Did I not teach you that Christ is within you? So it's basically teaching you that, yes, I've discovered that God is in I, like Sambo, same thing, I've discovered that. But what are you going to do now that I've taught you that you can do it, but you have to do your own journey? So I'm going to learn from Kanye West and keep studying, because I know that he was mad. I used to say, why is he mad about fashion? Build your own stuff, because he has to show us. He's showing us a way out. So instead of watching the Laker game, study everything he says and pick it apart. Dig deeper into the culture of fashion. Why is it that a certain group of people who don't look like Moors control what we dress, and we're learning that the majority of the clothes have poison in them? And then there's no culture. So now when you see certain Moorish people who are labeled as Black or African American sagging their pants, showing their butt, the way that they're Black, they're African American, they have no culture. And so their culture of today is hip hop, which is a culture of debauchery. And so therefore the Moors are living in the temple of Satan, the temple of Set. And it is up to us to free us from Orion's belt. We're bringing Orion's belt, the knowledge of information of where we come from. That's where I come from. So serious, dog. I come from the stars. And I bring that information down here to earth. And that's what we did in our past lives. So when you would plug into this game, all these wonders were built. You could go anywhere on the planet. So when you plug back into this matrix now, and you like Charles said, north to south, east, what they've confused the maps. They've changed the names, making you think that Mecca's in Saudi Arabia, making you think that Egypt is just in Africa, making you think Africa exists when that's not real. And so when we go to America, like we find books of the same names we find in the East, we find in the West. It's not, and Charles pointed out the division of the lands. So they use that to divide us. It's because the entire planet is an education system. It's a utopia. This is paradise. And this is not the only matrix. There's other land masses, like Charles was pointing out, like Gulliver's Travel. And we'll get into it in the next episode of why Hitler and them, they say searching for Atlantis. This place is here. It's already here, y'all. And a lot
yeah.
of the land masses that are here simply have Starfort technology to where we cannot see them. And so before we start closing out in the next 30 minutes or so, uh, and we'll pass the slide, study Kanye West and study what Charles is saying, what we're going to get back forward into with the black nobility. Study the different sects of Osiris or Asar, the temple of Osar versus the temple of Set, the temple of Satan. And what runs Hollywood? The Church of Satan, meaning the lower vibration, the lower red
Yeah.
chakra. Or you can be the infinite, the triple black, the double zero, the infinite Amun, the Amun Ra, the black dot, the infinite thought of the abyss, you know? So there's different houses. So some people come here just to have fun, you know, and this might be their first life, or some of us have been here the whole time. Some of us might have been some of the creators of aspects of reality. Like some of us created the tree. We were helping design certain seeds, helping design the lungs and the heart, so we could plug in our consciousness into these avatars. So as we push forward, Yeezy. Oh, let's get to that real quick. I can't not forget that. Remember Jason month. So he's walking around. Remember July, August, September, October, November. These are when they do the rituals. This, also, like I say, this is a distraction to keep y'all away from understanding who I am. So we get the real assistance to open up, like Charles was saying, paradise on earth. Well, we're not going to call it earth. Earth is a new word, like Gaia, Geb, Nut, all these words that we use. But Kanye West launches YZY meme coin after calling crypto a scam. 3 million, oh, excuse me, $3 billion in value crashes in 3 hours. But he's walking around with the Jason mask, y'all. You think that's a coincidence? It's because what Charles and I are saying, he's a distraction, but also giving you clues. One, that if the planet goes to digital currency, it's going to enslave people. It's a scam. But it's also telling you that when stuff like that, when I saw that, I was like, man, if I knew, I would have put money in and I would have took it out, and boom, I would have made 10,000, 100,000 possibly. So we got to just think of these things in the matrix, because it's all a scam. But what isn't a scam is the knowledge, the information. So before I give it to Charles, we were speaking of the Nazis and the black nobility, and Indiana Jones in the movies are always fighting who, Charles? Who is his opponent? The Nazis.
Yeah. Every time. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
what
mean,
and
that was
what
very popular.
right, and what is their objection? What are they always after?
Well, they're after treasures, and they're saying that the Nazis are trying to search for ancient treasures like the crystal
Whose
skull.
treasure though? Whose treasure
But
are these?
it's their, yeah,
That's the
it's their
point.
it's their own treasure. Yeah. But
It's
so they
our
must
treasure of
know.
ours. Well, that's
They
the
must
whole
know.
point. They
They
haven't
knew who the
found
Nazis were. They knew who the Roman Third Reich were,
right,
and
because the,
yeah, they just love this. I mean, the crystal skull is like a amazing myth in itself. I mean, if you look into the crystal skull, how many of them there are, where on earth they were found. You got you got markings on the skulls, made by modern tools, but they're like thousands of years old. You know. Yeah. So I mean, crystal is powerful. Crystal's always been powerful. It's an ancient biblical esoteric teaching. Crystals are part of our mind, our frequency. Yeah. Um. So I mean, many believe that the European crystal skulls were carved in the 1800s by an artist who was trying to fake them. So it's so involved and complicated to find ancient 1,000-year-old, beautifully carved, modern looking crystal skulls that you have to in the end just abandon the truth completely and just say that it was a fake, fraudulent scam where a European in the 1800s made them and then hid them all around the world. But that was their solution. And that's still the solution today. That's the mainstream solution. that somebody went to Colombia, hid the skull in the pyramid in Colombia, in an ancient tomb, just so that they could find it, take a photo of it, record it with the government, and then sell it in Europe for millions of pounds.
Wow.
But the truth is, they had technology thousands of years ago that could carve a perfect crystal skull without any imperfections, no breakages, no black dots, no chips, nothing. The thing is a work of art. There is more than one, and I believe that this is a real proof, one of many, by the way, one of many artifacts that where you can prove that there were ancient civilizations that were sophisticated enough to create something that we today cannot. And you see this in China. There's like the green jade mask. You've got all kinds of things in China made out of jade that nobody understands how they made it. Then you have like the same in Egypt. These ancient gold carved death masks and tombs and sarcophagi, and people don't want to talk about it. There was an actor in Hollywood called Dan Aykroyd who actually I think
Yeah,
did a lot
Ghostbusters.
of work on one. He did, yeah, Ghostbusters, and I think he did a lot of work looking into it. And I think once he told people his findings, especially his own investment in this topic, he kind of lost his career because they have elongated skulls, all kinds of things. Like it's it's pretty. It's a crazy thing, yeah. But it's a hard stone carving made of clear white quartz. Now that is a very hard material, so you need something much harder to be able to carve into that, and no one knows where that came from. Yeah,
And
no
just
one.
like Charles said, so they're searching for our stuff. They're searching for our ancient treasures. But Charles just pointed out, we were taught that the civilizations prior to this were primitive. And now we're proving that civilizations before this civilization, before under the sun, civilizations under the same sun are advanced. Let's not even say we're anymore because we're still under the same sun. We're breathing the same air that our ancestors breathed. And at the end of the movie, if you guys can remember, what was the gift? At the end of the movie of Crystal Skulls, do you remember the ending?
I don't. I didn't like the film that much, but
I
what
loved
was it?
it.
Was Yeah, there
I,
was like knowledge at the end or something. It was something
yeah,
clever, like.
yes, it
Uh,
was. It was
but people
one.
are historically blind, like they have eyes but they cannot see.
When I saw it in the theaters, I cried. Because
Oh wow, okay.
it spoke to me. For me, it was like it confirmed another thing that I'm an extraterrestrial, and that the path that I'm on is knowledge. That's the key. And when other people, like the Nazi lady, she was like, "I want it all. I want it all." Because when they put the
Yeah.
skulls together, they in the American pyramid. Remember,
Mm.
this taking place in America, Mesoamerica. The skulls basically activated the pyramids, which was a mothership, and
Okay.
that
I'll have to watch it again.
you
Yeah.
know. So
So it's
so
like 13 skulls, I think they found. Is that right?
I'm not sure the number, but possibly. But basically, when they put the skulls together, it was the head of these extraterrestrials, and it
Oh,
activated the mothership so they could go
okay.
home. And at the end, they saw all these ancient Egypt artifacts, and all that showed that the Egyptians were us as well. So it linked for I that the ancient Egyptians, which are Moors and us, are extraterrestrials. We are the so-called, like we say, the green men and blue men and women who came down to this planet. And through, like we learned when the nuclear war cracked off recently, it changed the atmosphere. People listening say, "What do you mean a nuclear war, Jason?" Well, I would say go study the Sahara Desert. And it's a fact that they find radioactivity uh, there, and they're saying that the reason that the Sahara Desert was formed, which is actually an ocean underneath, is because the only way would be a bomb being dropped. That's because the planet had already experienced a nuclear fallout, which changed some of our color. So just like green rust and copper rust, it's the same thing. And so that's why they try to call us black, because when we refer to ourselves as Moors, Moors, Tartarians, Berbers, Barbers, those words are words that can eventually break a spell for you to break their false reality and not go crazy, not get addicted to drugs, alcohol, all these things, and depression like they have set up because there's nowhere to go. But understanding that, there's it's all around us. There's pyramids all around the world that have evidence of advanced civilization, advanced science that leads us to know that our ancestors made contact, which means we are not alone in the universe. And when we know we're not alone in the universe, we can make direct contact using crystals, edifices, organites, and different machines like they had in ancient times. But really, your body can make direct contact. And when enough of us, like Charles was speaking on, collective consciousness, not mattering what color you are, it's your vibration, your aura, your Merkaba, you know? And so your Merkaba, your light, that truly is your shining and truly your character, that's what matters. And so when you're operating on that frequency and on that light and shining, and there's enough of us on the so-called planet thinking similar like Charles and I, guess what happens? That reality becomes true because it is true. It's not based on a lie. Everything we're saying, we're proving through facts, and we're breaking down codes. And so when we study the Indinkra codes, we find that when we study seeds and trees, that there's a DNA structure with a binary code. When we look at the Orion's belt in the Sirius star system, it's designed as the human DNA when it rotates, which means that it's another clue, like Charles was saying with the Pyramid of Giza, aligned with the stars, that once again, we are those people. And so there's a way to go home. ET phone home. There's a way for I to call my mothership. There's motherships already here, buried, that we can activate with our voice and thought through what they call Tahuti, which is really you. It's a priesthood, it's a thought. And collectively, we can call our ancestors who are in here in this realm, some of them underneath the ocean. And when the spacecraft, some will come up and it'll look like they came from outer space when they come down. And then some will come up out of these tunnels. That's why they're raiding all the tunnels. And then some will come from what they call the heavenly abode, certain realms up there, even though some people say that's a hologram, but there's still heavenly abodes. So let's start getting into it. I'm looking at mountains sometimes, and I do feel, I said, some of those are petrified giants. And so, long story short, before I pass it to Charles, watch Indiana Jones again, because it's once again dealing what this episode is about. It's about getting, the Nazis are getting these treasures for Hitler as a Moor, because the planet went through a cataclysm, and the more maps that they find, they know where to go to find these places. And that's what the expositions were about. The more wealth you had, they would sell these things, whether it was technology, knowledge, or maps. And so it's lost maps. That's why when they got into it with the pirates, the Moors on the sea, what were they trying to get? The pirates' treasures, because there's treasures that they have not found of the Moors, which is technology. There's a way to phone home physically, but there's a way to find a device to where I can press a button and it's going to call to the mothership for help. And so that's where they're distracting, because the more of us are on this, the more Charles and I are able to get funding to really do research and travel together. Imagine when Charles and I can travel to these places for you guys and document it. And so I know Charles has to go soon, so we'll start wrapping it up. I'm going to end it with this as well as we start closing it up. Michael Jackson praised Adolf Hitler, based stage outfits on fascist uniforms, collected Nazi memorabilia. What are your thoughts on Michael Jackson? Supposedly, this, but let's say it's Michael, and like they said, if he was dark skinned with an afro, they would have killed him. Even though they said they did, but basically he had to be light skinned with straight hair to pull it off. He pulled it off in his music so he could live forever. And then now we're looking at his costume and his dress to free us. So what do you think of that? Him rocking this nobility, but also relating it to Hitler. What do you think Michael was saying when because we know before he was killed, he was attacking the so-called pale-skinned Jews. What do you think
Uh,
about that?
yeah, no, I think that's interesting. I've not really thought about Michael Jackson's uniforms, but I know he had that aesthetic that he had like a lot of dancers dressed up with those armbands, and I know he had the sort of colonial French sort of buttoned up you know military uniforms. So I mean that is interesting. That's an interesting topic. I mean, what was going on with Michael Jackson? Did he have a skin condition? Was he actually, because most people thought for a long time that he was trying to change his skin color to become Caucasian or to become pale faced. Now, if you look at some of the Etruscan statues, they look identical. So I think he was trying to turn himself into an Etruscan. So he was, without ever having to say a word, you know, Michael Jackson was communicating that, look, I am the origin, like I am the first. We were like I was the original, and he became almost like one of the first mainstream celebrities that was almost turning into a woman, almost changing gender. Like he could do that. I mean, he was putting makeup on. He went through hours of makeup every day just to go outside. Uh, and then also his hair. I mean, his large kind of family with the Jackson 5. um, and I think he suffered. I think at a young age, he may have had some kind of surgery to stop his puberty, natural puberty happening, so his voice would change. Now they used to do that with a lot of dancers and singers in the past. So I think there's a very dark story there that maybe his father was responsible for putting him through an operation where he would not ever go through puberty, which is, I think, part of the problem with why he didn't really grow up, why he was still building like theme parks when he was a fully a grown man, and then
I'm
obviously,
gonna build theme parks.
yeah, but he had
Not that
loads of
way.
money, and he had a lot of unusual, unexpected. Uh, like relationships with young children that then obviously Sony took advantage of that. As soon as he turned against Sony, they worked 24/7. They had a team just trying to paint him as a criminal, a strange weirdo, wacko jacko. They started to use that phrase. Then all the court cases happened too with I think there were at least two court cases where he had to pay off the parents because they were taking him to court for abusing children. So I mean, he paid the price for, I think, putting that information out there that is still there today. His uniform, the armband, his operations, changing his nose. I mean, if you look at all the Egyptian statues, they all had their noses removed. I mean, was he in a strange way sort of trying to create his own Shakespearean kind of stage theater where everything he did was a
Bingo.
connection, and one day he knew in the future that
Yes,
we would ascend to the place where we
yes.
understand what he was
Brian
doing.
Cole,
Yeah,
Mike
yeah,
L, the arch angle Mike L.
Michael,
He
yeah.
left the code. He's an
Yeah.
extraterrestrial. Keep going, because they knocked our
Okay.
noses off to hide our
All right.
history. And then
So
you
he
can
did
learn
that to
about the
himself. Yeah, he
Yakub
did that to himself.
experiments. The
Yeah.
proof of vitiligo proves that the Yakub experiments existed, meaning that more scientists uh, basically bleach what we call genetic experimentation, what we'll call eugenics, but
Yeah.
basically taking our brown germ cell, dark skin to the lightest skin. That's why today I have friends who are darker than me and they birth pale skin, beautiful babies, blonde hair, blue eyed babies. I have friends who birth albinos. So in ancient times, if you were in a hot region, which we would set up, most likely your son or daughter is going to burn under that heat. So we will put them in places like Scotland, Switzerland, Ireland, Europe, these places. And then they mix in with different beings that were also in the caves, but that's another story. But on Michael, that's the story of Yakub. So when you see a so-called melanated person uh, that has white skin. Have you ever seen that? Everyone watching live, give me a like if you've seen a so-called Mexican, so-called black person turning white. That's called vitiligo, what Charles and I are speaking of.
Yeah.
That's reminiscence of the Yakub experiments of turning a person what today is referred to as white, and that took place on what we call the island of Dr. Moreau. Watch the movie Val with Val Kilmer, and it's a hint. That's why they call it the island of Dr. Moreau, because it was on an island. Some say Patmos, but I say the Yucatan, Yakub's land, the big-headed scientists, the big-headed Olmec statues, the Yucatan, Yakub or Jason's land is where we were experimenting, doing hybrid experiments with food, with crops, with vegetables and seeds, and eventually humans, creating cyclops, creating two-headed beings, four-headed beings. And this is why you hear stories of beings from the stars coming down and having to flood the planet to destroy certain beings that Moors created, different houses, because clearly that would mean that there were people who look like uh, I would be like, yo, dog, don't create these monsters. Don't create these beings. They're going to create havoc. What are you doing? And so clearly they left us righteous Moors, went to an island where we didn't know, and they performed these experiments, creating what today you call the dead Asian. They call them the dead Asian, the Caucasian. But really, the original Caucasians are Moors too. Go look it up. And so, where did these people who they call Caucasian, they're not Caucasian. Anglo-Saxon is fake. They're troglodytes. They're called Negro, Nigger, Nigger Anthropithecus. So we mix basically the Bigfoot, the Yeti, the hominid with our Moorish DNA, with the pale skin DNA that Michael was showing you, with that hominid Bigfoot. And that's why when you look to this picture right here, I'm going to pop up. This is what Michael, we're going to keep it on Michael though, but we're going to close it out so perfectly, y'all. This is what he's basically, this is what we were fighting, y'all, as Moors. And this is what it's all about too. Right here. If I could find it, please tell me I got it. Hey, I don't. I thought I put it in there. So basically, Michael, like
I
Charles
think
said,
yeah, Michael Jackson knew who he was and the connection to the Roman Empire, to the German Third Reich. He even put Eddie Murphy into one of his music videos. He was one of the
there it is.
first
There it is.
people. Yeah, yeah.
You read my mind. You read my mind,
He was
brother.
one of the
Look
first
at it.
people, and he used like a black model to be Cleopatra or something. He was the first
Yeah,
one to
and
do
the
it.
whole
So
cast.
yeah,
A whole,
I think that is a good theory. I think that's a really good theory. Yeah.
because remember the time, Michael Jackson. It's the only film I'm gonna create. That film, I'm gonna do it for Michael. I'm gonna dedicate it to Michael Jackson. going to be
They
called
must have been
Remember.
angry. They must have been angry when
They
he did that.
were, because you
They
haven't
must
seen a
have.
film like that. That's
It's
why
a clue.
they killed the actor Chad Boseman who played Black Panther, because he played that character. Because the goal is for you not to even imagine that you're God. They don't ever want you to think that you're a Messiah and that you're an extraterrestrial and that you can get off this planet, because they want you trapped here mentally, physically, and spiritually, so they can trap your consciousness in a matrix hologram video game. Hell, this is I this is why we came down here as gods, to teach before we leave. So if they don't teach you that it happens all the time, that a mothership arrives, and when we leave, the raptors come to eat you motherfuckers up, and we drop bombs on the planet when we leave, and then eventually come back, you'll never know and won't be prepared. But Charles just said, what did you say? Michael Jackson taught us, remember the time. And what do you see right here? What did he change himself into? He looked like this character, but in the back, you see the original Cometians, the original Moors and Moors, the original Egyptians, the original extraterrestrial gods that came down from the Sirius star system, took human form to experience, then got lost and trapped here in third dimensional atoms, photons, neurons. And so we use the Kemet gods, the gods of Kemet, the goddesses of El Kemet, the chemistry table, to remind us that we are trapped in a matrix hologram, and we use the hieroglyphs, what they're not allowing us to decode. So we have to power up our Merkaba to ascend. And so we use ancient Kemet because it laid out an educational curriculum, how to activate your so-called Kaaba, your body, to get up out of here. And so if they can hide it, and they're doing it now. So when you see the pale skin playing the Egyptians, that's the most high they can do. The Nazis, Judaism, Skull and Bone, like we discussed, all about us, all about the extraterrestrial beings. So when you go to Kemet, what is the color of Osiris, Charles? He's green, because it
Yes.
represents our lineage as extraterrestrials. And not to forget it, and not to get lost in the material realm. So while we were here, we built structures like the Moorish arches and all these pyramids around the world, so we could travel back home, travel to different matrices. It gets fun. This is when it gets fun. So when you see them wearing these jewelry, these are devices, y'all. Those are devices, like a radio station. This was like a device. This was a device where you could press a button and use it as a microphone. You could use it like they use as a weapon. You could use it for good or bad, and that's what they're trying to do with CERN. They're using our Moorish technology to divide us. They're using it to keep us trapped in this density matrix hologram. When brothers like I get my technology back, I can free thyself and free the people. And that's when it gets fun. And so look in the back, like Charles was saying, of Michael Jackson. What did he do in the music video, Remember the Time? He did a dance move, put some essence of material, black granite, on the ground, and disappeared. And what are we really called? It's not musicians, because mu is mu, right? M-U, so it's mur, mu, Lemuria, right? So mu, and they put sick, because they made it sick. But really, it's not musician, it's magician. The greatest magician and sorcerer is the artist, the rapper, the Ra, the sun god, who can deliver the message to the people to awaken them to a new world. And through a word, you can free the people. And that's what they don't want. It's the tone. There's a word. There's so many ways to open up these wormholes and activate our ancient Moorish castles that are all over the planet. And they're going to come through these devices. No longer look at these Moorish castles and pyramids as just a awe factor. These are devices. These are devices, not just batteries to power up our cities, but there are airports. there are ancient airports to travel the stars. And so if they can hide that from you, like Michael was showing you, like the Egyptian, you're going to think that the original Commission in Egyptian is the troglodyte, the created being, a kind of man. Like they faked the moon landing. They said a small step for man, a giant step for mankind. But the only way for a troglodyte and every other so-called race, every human, the only way they can ascend and learn about what they call God is through the Son of God, which I am. So when I become the Messiah, when I am operating on the highest level of my potential, I'm able to teach the world our culture. And our culture is what they call today God. That's what we practice and perform. And so they don't want us to bring what they call Orion's belt to what they call earth, which is hell. So we burn out hell by bringing heaven to this realm. And so the original commissions, like Michael Jackson was showing you, the angel, the archangel, the Moor, Mike L., the black or Moor, the black Indian out of Gary, Indiana, who traveled to hell to free his people, and then the mummy return come out. So in Remember the Time, Michael Jackson sacrificed his life for us, because if he was dark skinned and woolly hair, he really would have been sacrificed and made a martyr. So like Charles was saying, they had to make him a pedophile. They had, because when he was in Hollywood, clearly, most likely as a child, like all child actors, what happens to all child actors, are the majority, not all, the majority, they say that they were raped by adults. So let's not say Charles, the operation, let's just simply say a young innocent child was raped. And that's why the voice thing of the nuts not dropping. And then also having to have a feminine voice, because if he had a deep voice, it would scare the people and awaken the people. If Barry White wasn't killed, what was Barry White teaching? He was teaching you that you were God. Isaac Hayes, South Park, teaching you that ye are God. That's what Kanye's saying. Did I not teach ye that you are God? You. And that's what Michael is teaching you with his magician, his magic. Let's not even say music, because music means you're sick. It means a sick Moor. So being a magi, a Jedi, being a Jedi, I use my mic, my Digetta pillar, as a device to free my people instead of using my mic to kill, which they have made hip hop, which they have made rap. And what is rap? It's raw, R-A. And so as we start closing it out, I want everyone to study the Quran. G, what do we find? The G-R-A, Ra, Egyptian theater in Hollywood. So what they did is they took over an ancient Egyptian Commission tomb, which clearly there was a pyramid there in Hollywood, tore down the buildings, kept a few, set a fire to other buildings, or built over it. That's why Hollywood, they talk about tunnels as well. So after the mud flood, after these disasters, the pale-skinned troglodyte Europeans, once they got the maps and let out of hell, let out of the caves, they got the maps. And they founded, like they say, they founded our cities and technology and erected, like an erect penis, they erected our edifices. And they hide the truth. And that's what Michael was telling us. And what did they fake his death with? A drug overdose. And what do you see black musicians doing today? Drug overdose. Because hip hop is dead. Hip hop is not necessarily death in that sense, but it represents the house of death, the house of Set, the house of Satan. And once that happens, like Charles was saying, when the men become girls and the girls become men, it's the end. And what was the name of Michael's last concert? This is the end. And what can you spell? And this is the end, Charles. This is the end. Think about it, everyone. This, THIS, is THISIS, ISIS, Mayat, right there. So he left us the clue. And then as the Moonwalker movie, and who am I? I am the Sunwalker. So Michael left us the clues for one day that one of us would see the clues and solve the riddle. And that's what we're doing now. We have to keep trying to solve the riddle that the greatest Ra magician, Ra's magicians, that's who you want to be. Ra's magicians. And even in their biblical text, Ra's magicians, the Pharaoh's magicians, could perform every miracle that the God Yahweh performed. So therefore, the Pharaoh just sat back and watched. So that means that there's a power within you that they do not want you to know, because you are beyond a word called God, dog. And so when you study what Sirius means, Sirius, and you study the dog spelled backwards, the God star, you'll understand that we are the extraterrestrials and the mothership is going to arrive. And if some of you had a dad, because some of our brothers did not grow up with fathers, but for some of us that did grow up with a father, what happened if the room or the house or the garden was not clean? What happened? You were disciplined, physically got your ass whipped, or everything was done. You might sometimes get would you thought you did something? You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to clean the garden. When your mom tells you to clean the house, you clean it. Don't act like you're supposed to get a surprise because you did the chores. Or you might get, hey man, come on son, I'm gonna take you to the park and your dad talks to you. Or get a video game. There's rewards. But don't expect a reward for something that you're supposed to do. But there's consequences, son. What did our parents say? I'm not whipping you because I don't like you, even though we go through things with our parents. I'm not beating you. It hurts me because, especially Moors, if your father doesn't whip your ass, the streets are going to whip your ass. But police will kill you, lock you up in cages. Like us as Moors, when we took the troglodytes out of the caves, we had to put them in cages because they were wild animals. They didn't have Islam. They did not have God in their life. And so imagine a pale-skinned European who did not have Islam or God or know Jesus or Yeshua. Imagine that type of beast and animal. You see it today when they have Islam, when they have Jesus. They went around the world using Jesus to murder us as Moors. So they use Jesus once again, which is actually technology of the sun, put in words, because words are magic. So you can either use Jesus to heal or kill. And when you understand that Jesus is the story of the sun in the sky, but also the sun in the atom, a tone of frequency, which is melanin, moorland, the more, the myrrh, the And what does that sound when I go They say it's the sound of when you want to meditate, the sound of the planet, and then it goes M, symbol of the Muurs and Moors. So right there, that's how we break the spell. We learn about ourselves. And what are cells? Cells are L's, which are Moors locked in cages. because right now the troglodyte, your creation that the wicked satanic Moors created, was put into power to rule over the righteous Moors. So therefore, the rest of the world will suffer until July, August, September, October, November is free. Meaning when we use these months to what? Summer. What is summer? These summer months are Jason months. And what do we do during summer? It's raw, right? And what is Sumer? It's not summer, it's Sumer. And that's when we get into ancient civilizations of who are the gods of Sumer? Extraterrestrials. And then you'll learn, and that's why they gave us language. They gave us Hebrew, and like Charles said in the last episode, what is Hebrew backwards, Charles?
Yes, Hebrew is the original language for English. English is Hebrew.
There you go. So it's a spell. It's a spell. It's a magic spell to bind you in a fictitious world. How do I know? Go camping. Go camping where there's lions or hyenas, and you tell me if you can hold a Bible when a lion's coming at you. And therefore that's not real. And so once you see that the Bible and all those religions are man-made and created to trap you and bind you in a fictitious world to distract you so they can operate in the universe and use you guys as slaves, you study your ancient cultures. And what are cultures are formed through? The magic mushroom. And how do you spell mushroom? M-U, myrrh. So that means that the cultures of the Moors is the magic mushroom, the psilocybin. And so eat the magic mushroom. And where does the magic mushroom come from, Charles?
Yeah, this comes from the desert.
Well, I'm saying the magic mushroom is called psilocybin. The magic mushroom grows from cow dung also.
Oh yeah, cow dung. Yeah.
And what is
I think the monkeys. There was a species of monkey that followed the cow pats to take the mushrooms out to eat them. Yeah.
I did not know that. I want to study.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's very interesting. I read that once. Yeah.
So what is the name of the cow deity of Kemet or Egypt?
Yeah. So you've got Hare Krishna, Shiva. Yeah. That's
No,
I think that's the elephant.
Okay, Hathor. H-A.
Hathor. Okay.
Hathor. And so Hathor is the cow deity, the bull, the god that you'll see the gold calf, right? That they demonize. So what sound does the cow make?
Moo.
Wow. There you
Good.
go.
Awesome.
So there you go. So right there, and look at the top of these edifices. What does that look like? A magic mushroom.
Yeah, that could be a champignon. Yeah.
And so that's
Onion
why,
dome, yeah.
and that's why they demonized and created the drug industry, because in ancient times, us as Moors were plant dealers. Today, drug dealers. D-Ra, because you take out the D-R-U-G vowel, D-Ra, G. So that was raw. That was the L's of raw, the drugs of raw. And so we would eat the mushroom to activate our pineal gland once again to make contact. So that's why they put crack cocaine and all these drugs in the Moorish community to calcify the pineal gland, which is the ice wall. And what does the mushroom do? It decalcifies the pineal gland. So when you're decalcifying the pineal gland, you're melting your ice wall. So when enough of us melt the ice wall on our pineal gland, what happens? What do they say, Charles, is happening when the ice walls melt? What's over the ice walls? What do they say? Which relates to Hitler and the Nazis in Antarctica as we ended. What is beyond the ice wall, Charles?
Oh yes, so the 66th parallel, no, Hyperborea. We got more land. We got Greenland. Yeah, we got yeah, all of those. Yeah, the Dragonlands. What are we? What else?
Titan, Mars.
Frisia, Frisia. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of names. Atlantis. Yeah.
Mm,
Maybe we will find other species of animals. Dogmen, cynocephali, blemmies. Yeah. The kingdom. Yeah. The ancient kingdom of Mu. Yeah. Land of Mu. Yeah, it's very exciting. I mean, it's yes, nice to just hear you theorize and yeah,
and so
yeah,
as
it's a
we close,
wonderful gift, intuition. Yeah.
and I know we've been on for a while, so as we close it out, what is your research when it comes to the Ark of the Covenant being technology and a device? And what can you summarize today as a solution that we all can take to better our lives and to propel ourselves to a magical world, like you said, making this a paradise again?
Yeah. No, I think that's like electromagnetic energy. I think that the wings touching is the anode, the cathode. I think you have the yin and the yang in there through in Chinese philosophy. I think the Ark of the Covenant was like a holy, important holy artifact. It was built by the true Israelites, and it was in the House of Ten Commandments, I think, a symbol of the covenant between God and His people. So, I mean, if the temple itself, then the Ark of the Covenant is also symbolism for your own left and right side of your brain. Your, I mean, the actual golden artifice, it's the actual golden um, treasure chest itself must be symbolism for something anatomical. Yeah, uh, but I think the Babylonians took it in 587. Is the true Ark of the Covenant still in existence? I doubt that very much, but yeah, it's mentioned in the Bible many times. I think it fell at some point, and someone caught it, and then the person that caught it was given great blessings. So, so I think if you look at it as the idea of your connection with God, like Michelangelo's painting in the Sistine Chapel, it's the idea of your inner sanctum, your the sacred secret of a connection with God. And I think if you have that connection, and I think anyone can develop that final Kundalini awakening, the crown chakra, then then the angels will touch, the left and the right side of your brain will connect, and I think then you will start to use your third eye. You will see this holy realm, this heavenly realm, and you will know how to ascend, how to get there. But it means different things to different people. Like even I mean, if you read the Bible, you see it as the representation of God, the seat of God. Yeah. So uh, yeah, I mean, I think they had all kinds of different treasures inside it too, like manna, which is the perfect food for humans that came from heaven. You have Aaron's rod, which parted the Red Sea. So you have this ability to do all these things, like to create, to manifest things from your thoughts, to manipulate nature, and then you have the stone tablets of like rules that you cannot break in order to ensure your own purity, and then you have the cherubim that everyone has two angels on their shoulder, a sentinel, maybe a guardian angel that you cannot be touched, that you have as long as you keep your frequency high, that you are protected. You have this force field, this electromagnetic force field. So electricity, magnetism, the ground and the earth, the sky, and and the uh, yeah, the earth beneath your feet. Yeah. So I mean, it's symbolism. This is symbolism. This is you don't need to ever go anywhere near the real Ark of the Covenant to understand that it is within you. Yeah, the covenant was within you. That's when the old Hebrew Aramaic scriptures were replaced by the New Testament. Yeah, that
And
that we
then
yeah
go
that
ahead.
it's now within us. The kingdom is within you. Yeah.
And so when the viewers, you were saying they activate that, what do you feel happens? And do you feel that our ancestors, there were some who did ascend to those levels?
Yes, I mean you have to ascend in order to prove. Look, you have to prove that you are worthy. Okay, you can't just wake up one day and have great powers. You have to prove that you're worthy. So you have to allow God to test you. God is going to bring things, all kinds of angels. I mean, you've got the negative energy angels. You've got the positive energy. So I mean. Uh, you have to prove that you can use your strength, that you can use this power that you've been given. So the seat of your power, the covenant, is an agreement. So the ark of the covenant is 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 the ark. It's the understanding of your angle to the sun, your communication with the sun and the moon, right? So if you're scared to tell somebody what you think, you cannot get the next level of information. If you're worried about something, if someone's telling you you can talk about this but you can't talk about this, then that becomes your god. That person is your god, or that individual, that force, that entity. Many people end up praying to the wrong god, you see, and they know it's not the right god that they're praying to. But they're getting so much out of it, they're getting gifts, like for example, negative entities, demons, Satan, Lucifer, Gog of Magog, all of these entities, they are not going to upset you if you're living a meaningless, completely oblivious life. They are going to leave you in your comfort and your wealth and your happiness. It's when you begin to start putting stock in the spiritual, your spiritual potential, that I think that's when you get a hard time. But again, if they push you too far, then you end up hell bent on a particular a frame of reference and a particular mindset. But the physical golden objects are no longer in this age of Aquarius. Those things are no longer the things that harbor any importance, that hold any meaning. In this age, this is the age of water. So this is flowing of water. This is recalibration of yourself. You are 80% water. You are not H2O. This is a higher electromagnetic water. This is HZ, they call it, or something. So I mean, they skipped that whole generation Y, and went straight to Z, because we are the ones that are asking the question why, why why are we looking at this Ark of the Covenant today as this golden era, this golden cherubim seat of God, when the New Testament is telling us that God is within you, yeah, the kingdom, yeah, and that you are made in His image, that He has a seat within you. But if you empty your mind and you leave space for negative thoughts, negative entities, then they will also come. You know, so fill it up with higher frequency spirituality and truth, so that there's no space for the negative entities to control you, because there are people everywhere that have negative motivation and bias. And yeah, ask yourself, what's the real Ark of the Covenant? You know, who are the real Jews? Who's the real who are the real Europeans? Who are the real Americans? And if you go to Egypt, and you are a African American, they will say to you, I thought you knew, because everyone here in Africa knows who the Black American is. The Black American is the original Egypt. They all know that. They will talk to you on the street about that. They may not use English, but they will definitely. There are videos online of people telling them, "Oh, you are the African, the original Black African American. You this is not the original Africa. You are from the original Africa." They know that. That's why you are viewed in that way if you come from the United States and travel uh, around Africa. They will straight away. I mean, you will straight away have that uh, experience. Yeah, many people have. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, a lot of this is symbolism. But it's still I mean, the throne of God is the Ark of the Covenant, and it is it is geometrically based on the human brain. Yeah, just like anything with two things touching, it's always left and right side of the brain, electric, magnetic, every time. Yeah, that's what we bring to this realm, electricity.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then anything? Have you studied the Medu Neter at all?
I have studied a lot of mysticism. Yeah, I've studied some Egyptian mysticism. But yeah, we should definitely discuss that in like another time. The hieroglyphs.
We will.
There is a lot of interesting things in there. A lot of technology hidden in those symbols. Yeah,
Definitely. We'll break that down another time. And my
for
quick
sure.
breakdown with the Ark of the Covenant, I personally loved what you said. Uh, thank you. So, looking at it through Charles's perspective, it allowed me to remind myself do not focus on the physical Ark of the Covenant any longer, like they were doing with the movies and researches, because we're in the Aquarius age. We're in the moon, the water, the aqua, the charging of our bodies. I love how you said we're majority water, and so that means that the whole planet is yet to be discovered yet, because they say that the majority of the planet of water, less than 15% of the oceans have been discovered. So that means we don't know what the planet really looks like. And so that could be symbolism. So being the Aquarius age, we're learning about the greatness of our so-called body, our ka, our ba, and the same thing that Charles said. So being the age of water, we're going to discover new waters, new knowledge, which will bring in a new world. And so we have to bring about our own order and not allow the so-called what they say is the Nazis and all these people uh, who are distractions for our more science, which is our culture, which is a way to phone home or simply better yourself and understand where you're at. But Charles also reminded me to activate all that within with the left hemisphere, the right hemisphere, the temple of Set versus the temple of Osiris, you know, the good and the bad, the dark and the light, being Mayat, the Mayat wings, the angel wings, and balancing that to activate your mind, your Merkaba, your body of light, to either propel yourself to a different higher ascension so you could start seeing better. Uh, in the next episode, I'd like to talk about the knighting. You notice how people would bend their knees and the top person or the king would knight them by placing the sword by their left and right. Go look in ancient Kemetic Medu Neter hieroglyphs or the temple walls or the papyrus, and you'll see the priest holding either the strum or an instrument by the head with the ankh or the cobra. And that is what, for just like Charles talks about the electrical swords, what you see as what they call a secum or a strum or the ankh is a sound device. So when they were being knighted or being initiated, that sound device, like a tuning fork, it had a frequency that tuned your mind, like Charles was saying, your Ark of the Covenant, and activated a portion of your brain on both
The uh
sides.
the the Ankh is a I think it's an oscillation, electric oscillation device. It generates electricity. Tesla copied that when he went to Egypt, and yeah.
So
That's ancient technology, 100%. That's a copper coil, oscillator. It's called. Yeah.
so
That's
imagine the ancient
just
one.
another word. Yeah, yeah. It's another word for it. Yeah,
When we see that device, imagine that the ancient one, which will say future, it'll be our present soon. Imagine this advance, like Charles was saying, of gold, copper, certain crystals, and
yeah,
then let's say certain radium or certain elements, because we're dealing with alchemy. Inside of this device, you press a button and it could either open a wormhole. It could, like I
yeah.
said, heal you. Maybe also, like I said, a
Exactly.
microphone. And so imagine an advanced tuning fork, like when you getting a sound bath and it's knighting you, and they probably call it. This is freestyle, knighting you, uh, because it's activating you, like Charles was saying, to see your answers, which are your ancestors, is what I theorize, and that is
Yeah,
just a mispronunciation, and that's why they show the all-seeing eye, which could, which they say good or bad, right? But it also represents, relating it to Charles. Once it activates, you're able to be able to handle being able to see a higher light spectrum, being able to see different entities. Example, what happens when people do mushrooms or other psychedelics? It's either a good trip or a bad trip. What do people say when they have a bad trip? Oh, I saw devils, demons. Oh, they were chasing me. They're there. Some
yeah.
people become
If you're not ready, if you're not mentally prepared, that power will turn against you. Yeah,
right,
and you will have a bad trip. Yeah,
right, because you're seeing entities and beings that
yeah,
exist here on another frequency because we've been so dumbed down and demonized reality that when you do see a ghost, a apparition, or an ancestor, or smell them, you're not taught or thought in school or the mystery schools on what that is because they want you to go crazy so you can't ever tap in and you can't graduate because you have to be able to handle that to get up out of here. And that's what we're going to be doing, opening up our mystery school system. So that's the different initiations, is being able to handle different spectrums of raw light. So if you can't handle this, imagine what you can really see. And that's why they had temples where the priests were away from society. The pharaohs, certain people of noble elite class do not deal with humans. And so my situation or us as gods or Moors, you learn the hard way, which my dad respected and said, now you earned it. And people will forever respect you for your journey because you could have stayed inside the castle walls and followed the noble families program and not experience. Like reverse Princess Jasmine, she went outside the walls. She could have stayed in the walls and been protected, and then she met Aladdin, which is a dirty fake Moor. Instead of earning his knowledge and earning his degrees to be the greatest sorcerer or genie like Jafar and all them, they got the genie out the lamp, which might be these entities in these Ark of the Covenant and jars and things that house, like the Ghostbusters movie, when they would put out the proton packs or photon packs to get the beings. It's the same thing with the Ark of the Covenant that they showed in the Raiders of the Lost Ark. They opened it, and all of a sudden, these beings came out, and they said, "Don't look at it. It looks similar to the mobile Ghostbusters device." So that could be another world or other entities that eventually will be let out to wreak havoc or bring peace unto the world. And so these priesthoods had to be formed because of look what's going on. And so clearly they're going to roll these out. And it links up to what Charles said, is that every single night and day we focus on Ra, not as the God and the entity that they make us think, but the raw in you and the raw outside of you is the sun in the sky. And then we learn about the moon, the stars, and other planets, and you base your reality off of the stars because what? Fertility gods and goddesses, growing crops. In order to build a civilization and take care of your family, they have to eat. That's the most important thing, like they say, is food, clothing, shelter. And that's what the science provides. And Meru Nature is basically Mother Nature. So right there, we learn that Mother Nature is our greatest teacher. And so instead of Mother Nature, because the troglodyte European cannot pronounce our ancient dialect and sounds and tones because of their nasal passage, for most of them, because of their nasal passage, they can't pronounce certain words. So instead of saying Medu Nature, that they can't say it. So they say Mother Nature. They can't. Most of them cannot say. He'll be like, "What's that, Jason? That sounds like extraterrestrial talk." Yeah, I can speak. So they dumb down our sounds and frequencies to communicate with raw, and we left the hieroglyphs, the lyrics, the glyphs that I call Jason's lyrics on the wall, so the day I woke up, I could read my hieroglyphs and remember what I did in my past life. But they're hiding it from me. They're hiding our Ark of the Covenant physically, and the ones of learning how to play the game with instructions. So now we have to learn to play the video game off of freestyle, our being brothers and sisters of all walks of life, no matter what color you are, because it takes us as a team. We're all here together. It's a multiplayer game, even though it's a single player game. You're here as God and Ra, as an aspect of Ra, and you're here experiencing that. And so are other people in the multiplayer Matrix video game. So it takes teamwork to come together. It doesn't take everyone. It's just a small group of us. It's a small group of us who came here to come together to figure it out and teach the humans, like I say, man and mankind. I'm not man, I'm not mankind, and I'm not a human. I'm an infinite Ka. I'm a Ba. I'm a spirit in a body. In my spirit, which is ether, which is a deity in Kemet, alchemy. That's why we base our gods and our deities that the European stole. And what happens when you steal and you're not initiated or taught what it is? You don't know how to work the darn thing. They don't know how to work it. And so they use our what they call our book of coming forth by day, the book of life, and called it the book of the dead, which became your Old and New Testaments. Because they stole our Meru Nature, what are the instructions on how to operate the matrix hologram physically, the projection out of your Ka. Your Ba is a physical Ra, projection, a projection of Ra. And so you're seeing an outside image of yourself, Ra. That's why you love thy brother. You love people no matter what color they are, no matter their so-called beliefs, as long as it's with Mother Nature and Meru Nature and Mayat, because that is you and you are I. I am you. I am voodoo. Who do voodoo? I do voodoo. And so when you understand that no matter what so-called color you are, like Mike L said, it doesn't matter. Matter of fact, if you're black or white, because I am not a color. You cannot define me as a color. I am an infinite being. And they're trying to trap us in the body by making you think and believe a lie from a certain woman. Eve, a woman, convinces you on how to think, because behind all these religions and secret societies, it's a wicked witch. And so we have to wake up as the sons of God, because God, our mothers, Medu Neter, she is wicked. And we need the good witch, the shaman, the priestess, the chief, the ruler and creator of all, because the womb man brings us in to this matrix. The woman gives forth life. So any and re means repeat. So any religion or philosophy are teaching you that man is God is lying to you, because the creator of the universe, woman, and then who created the Moorish woman? And then that's when you know we are extraterrestrial infinite beings, because the so-called Moorish woman has what? Every so-called human being, man and mankind, has the Moorish woman has their DNA. Therefore, the Moorish woman, misclassified as the black woman, is the creator of the humans. And so she, when she's in her correct right, left, north, south, east, and west state of mind, state of being, be the beehive, learn about bees and the cultivation of bees in Thebes, in Memphis, which is in Kemet, the Memphites, the beehive, the queen bee. Once again, it goes to who? Not Beyonce, but the other, the true righteous woman who's a rapper, right? And so it's the woman, when she sings the correct note, when the Moorish woman, when the so-called black woman sings, because nobody can sing better than the Moorish woman on the planet, she opens up the portal and calls the mothership to Ra turn, Ra rise, Ra forward, Ra rise. Which when Ra moves forward, you move forward. When Ra rises, you move up, which goes to a step pyramid. Activation. Some of us are going to get it in phone home. You have to use your ka, your ba, and remember the time, like Mike L taught you in his video. Watch it again. Listen to his music every day if you can, to remember the time, and listen to his magician and his magic and his keys to get up out the maze before the mothership returns. Because when the father returns, he's kicking butt. And when the motherboard returns, some of us have to be vibrating on a frequency to get lifted up. And those who are not vibrating on that frequency will not be lifted onto the craft. And what is the craft? The craft is magic, Magi, the Jedi, Star Wars. So here, the ships are still buried. Some are being refurbished, and the mothership is about to arrive soon. We don't know the day. We don't know the year. We don't know. So you always prepare so you can perform. Because as an athlete, as a 400 hurdler, what does coach tell you? It doesn't matter when you get in the blocks, Jason. As an All-American professional athlete, 400 hurdler, there's no excuses in track and field. Nobody cares when you're at that level in college. Nobody cares if your hamstring isn't that, or you came in second, third, or fourth. No one cares. They only care if you won. And how do you win a race, Charles? You have to perform your hardest and best in practice. So when it's time to perform, you can be your best. And who is best? What is best is the ancient deity in Kemet. And so all these word spells are how to get up out the maze, how to activate your ka, how to prepare to ascend. But time is up. They've distracted you long enough, and you know because hip hop, Raw, and Mike L is dead. And now we're in the Aquarius age. So the mothership has to arrive because the Moors, the Martians, had an advanced civilization that went underwater like submarines and also went to the stars in heavens. And one day Ra will turn, Ra will rise, and Ra comes not just in the Ka, the Ba, the all-seeing eye, because the ancestors, everyone's still here. So you're always being watched. You don't get away with anything. That's why you're supposed to always be righteous and love. So when the mothership returns, if you're not prepared, just like anything, just like in class, if you're not prepared for the test, you fail. You don't graduate. But they trick you to think that, oh, getting a high school diploma, master's, doctorate, is it? No. Getting money, is it? Getting a car, is it? No. Getting fame makes you a star. No. Becoming a star, you have to be initiated through yourself, through your life. As an end die, or you die, or you live. You rise, raw. You become a raw. And so once again, they say that they created time. They call it color people's time because we're always late, because us as Martians don't go off of their time. They gave you a fake time to distract you so you're not prepared when the mothership returns, so you're left behind. And so when we leave, we're going to drop bombs on the planet, and the other crafts are going to be going to war with their jets and their military. And so you have to go to landing sites. That's what the ringing in the ears are about. So that's why they don't want you to get the sound adjustments and tones. So when you hear a tune fork, you can hear the tune. It's the same tune that you hear when you sometimes get a ringing, because that's the mothership. That's why they would do experiments with the headphones on us. And that's why they gave you Dr. Beats headphones and gave us these headphones so you don't know what tone you're picking up from the mothership. So the mothership is giving you raw tones, Ra's music. Ra's music is written down as the hieroglyphs. And as a rapper, I'm supposed to disseminate Ra's message. And that's what Akhenaten was showing you when you see the sun, Ra, with the coming out, down. Those are music notes. And he had the canoptic jars, which is a device like a radio station for the mothership to talk to you. So you were able to get direct messages from Ra, because Ra travels in a spacecraft, and the spacecraft is a mothership, and we travel throughout the galaxies. So you have to prepare, because that is our culture, who we are. We're Ra, we're the gods. But they made our people think that we're humans, and we're not. We created the humans, and some of us came down as elves or angels of light,
Yeah.
the Jedi's, the light bearers, to teach. And who taught the humans? Who were there? The angels, who are representative of God, Ra. And your body represents Allah, arm, leg, arm, and head. And so your body is the temple of Ra. And so you're a messenger
Awesome.
of Ra, and
Yeah.
which is
Very
God.
good. Beautiful. Yeah.
And so basically, I know we got to wrap it
Yeah.
up,
It's all
y'all.
connecting. It's all connecting, and yeah, you're getting your high frequency going. Yeah. The ringing in the ears. Yeah. Very good. Awesome.
And so last but not least, to end it, last part, a
We
movie.
need to end it though. We've been going too long. It's like 3 hours.
Oh wow. Okay, this is
Yeah.
it. This is the last slide. The Serious Mystery. I want everyone to read this book if you can, or find out more about it. I read it in 2005. I still read it back and forth. Talks about the mistranslation of Jesus, and it's actually Jason, in the story of Jason and the Argonauts, or the Argo is a spaceship or a watercraft, and that the name of the Messiah and Savior isn't Jesus, it's Jason. And also it speaks of extraterrestrial contact. But also the movie Run just came out, Charles. One of my
Oh yeah.
friends, Kenny Lawrence, he's in the movie, and it talks about when the spacecrafts arrive, the elite noble, which is supposed to be us, not how we're tricked to think is the nobility and the elite and the stars. Those are put in place to distract us. You are the star. So once you as a star become the raw, you get picked up. And the ones that don't get picked up and get left behind, they're going to be eaten by the raptors, which they're calling the rapture. That's why it rhymes, raptor and rapture. And then what? Because what does the God of the Bible always ask for? Blood sacrifice, because it's a harvest. And so those deities that they put in front of Ra, Amen, Ra, right? That's why they say Amen, but they put that in front of Ra because these beings are going to come and eat humans. And that's why they're preparing, and they got to distract people. And that's the end of my episode of why Hitler, the Nazis, the Kanye West, to Judaism, all these religions are being used by a wicked Moorish woman who has a punk ass bitch ass son who follows his wicked mom's order instead of being a real God and a real Ra himself. And being that he's in power, he created a religion as a bitch. And you'll learn about homosexuality in Europe, black men, Romans, Etruscans, Greek, the freaks, black men who practiced that way of life. And they used Judaism and all these religions to practice homosexuality. And that's what you call the punk bitches, is the men who aren't able to create their own reality without their mom, but also still building with mom to build up the kingdom. That's why we need each other. The Father, the mother and son and the Holy Spirit. That is the Moorish family, the mother and son. So in America is the old world. This is the land of Jason. July, August, September, October. I claim America as Jason's land. And then the whole world is our land. So let's fix it. Let's get it together. Let's live in this great breath of life, because life is the present. Life is the gift. But we have to figure it out before you so-called die. But always remember, you cannot die. You are infinite. What about you, Charles? How can you end it?
Yeah, great. Yes, I mean, let give everybody a chance, give everything a chance. Like, don't turn anything away. If it's if something has presented itself to you, try to find out why it's been sent to you. And the more you accept, the more you will gain. If you prove that you can accept this knowledge, that this knowledge can change your life, you will find out very important facts, things that can make your life easier, make your life more enjoyable, give you more time, more energy. And yeah, try to remember you are not just here to eat, uh, you know, uh, uh, do your job, get married, have a family, whatever. That's not your purpose. You are far too powerful. You are not utilizing your gift. Your gift is the most powerful thing on this earth. This amazing supercomputer that you have, your brain, and if you utilize that, see how far it can go. It's just like when you see movies and they make some superhero look ridiculous, and they're slowly trying to kind of like take away the power from the main character, from the man, from the leader, from the masculine entity. Try to see that that's just an attack on you, and in the end, uh, there is nothing that you can't do if you put your mind to it. There's nothing that is closed to you. It doesn't matter what happened at school, whether you went to university or not, what you majored in. It's just not important. All that matters is that you are connected to ancestors that are so powerful that they could create anything for you. It's just they need to know that you can handle it. Can you handle the power? Can you handle it? Is it going to destroy you if you get too much power too fast? Because that's the story over and over again. That's why they give certain specific people so much wealth and power, and then it destroys them. They don't even live that long after that, because they don't have the knowledge to utilize that energy, that power, that money, that financial success.
Wow.
And if you don't know how to do it, it's going to destroy you, because there's only so many mistakes you can make. There's only so many wrong turns you can make, and then there's nothing left for you to fight for, because you have no energy, no goodness, no high frequency. So try to stay above high frequency. Avoid a porn. Try to eat less meat. Try to spend less time on computer games. Try to spend more time educating yourself. And you never know what you can achieve. You've got no idea how much your life can change in just 1 year, 2 years. It's surprising. It's surprising what you can do, because you are not the same as the animals that we see in the animal kingdom. We can make choice. We are conscious of ourselves. We have a natural desire to find answers to questions like, why am I here? What am I doing? What's my purpose? Like, uh, no other creature on earth asks itself that question. So there's something special going on here. There's something very unique, and usually most people, they just don't want to think about that. They think it's wrong to think like that. It's not wrong. It's not selfish to want to do better, to want to understand everything. Because it's not going very well. I don't know if you've noticed, but we are constantly being targeted. We're constantly being taken advantage of. Our freedoms are going to be taken away if we cannot prove that we have the right to have them. And we're not proving that to any other human being. We're proving that to ourselves. Yeah. So you are made in God's image. You are not an object. You are not a demographic. It does not matter where you come from, where you were born, the color of your skin. That's not important. We are all different shades of brown. Some of us went north of the equator, some of us went south. That that's all there is to it. We have as much connection with the empire of Mu as anyone else does. And I think the more that I research, the more I realize that we all came from the same place, and our differences are most of the time just illusions. But yes, find out who you are. Find out where your ancestry is. What you are here to do. And if you find out what you're here to do, then you are on a path that is full of treasures, full of blessings. That's it. Thank you very much.
I love you guys. So we're gonna close it out, and I'm gonna close it out on what
Yeah.
Charles said. You guys, uh, I'll close it out. And thank you, Charles, for coming on. But Charles basically
Cool.
said the brain, and it popped up. Brain is spelled Brain. So I put the B, put the hyphen, and I saw raw. And so B hyphen raw hyphen in. So raw's inside. So raw is inside, and then the pi, the pineal gland, right? The pi is the number, the 3.1444, which is a code, which is a frequency. That's why when we push that number code on your phone, it's a tone, right? And an infinite tone. And then they have that snake's tail. What did you call it last episode? Like the never ending story. It looks like a sideways eight.
Oh, the Ouroboros, or infinity, the number 8. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So that would represent infinity. So right inside of your brain, like Charles said, holds,
Mm.
like he said, made in God or Ra's image. So brain, once again, Brain, Ra's inside. Ra's inside of you. That's why we teach
Yeah.
God is within you. So
Yeah.
learn
I
to love
mean,
each other.
the Egyptians use that symbolism for the eye of Isis. That's actually your pineal gland. That's your brain. Yeah. 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 It's pretty exciting. Okay. It'll be wonderful next time. That was amazing. Thank you very much for all your knowledge, and for listening, and for interacting like this, sharing our knowledge and research. and I hope we can do it again soon. So,
Love you guys, and I'm out. See you later,
okay,
Charles.
bye bye,
Bye bye.
bye bye.
And so we close it out with the book. Well, first we close it out. Michael Jackson made 600 million in 2024, more than any living celebrity. Long live Ark, or Arch, Angle, Michael, leader of the Jedi's. Bro, yeah, we love you, Michael. I see you, brother. Like I said, I wasn't there. Uh, Different mysteries, but for me, Michael left us infinite clues on who we are. And for me, he's still watching. So if you are watching this, brother Mike L, uh, you have a brother named Jason. Um, I love you. I love your art. You know. So thank you. And so yeah, the end of the Barbary Terror is how we close it out. The end of the Barbary Terror, America's 1815 war against the pirates of North Africa. And so right here, it talks about the mission to Algiers, uh, Tunis, Tripoli in 1815. And so also talks about the 1798 warships. And it speaks on how the Navy was formed in the first foreign war that they basically fought as the Navy, as United States right here, uh, Navy. Who's that? Pirates of North Africa. And who do we say today are the pirates? The original pirates are the PI, which are those who can master the stars, the frequency of the stars, because pi 3.14, not the pie that you eat. And then pi Ra, the sun god. So the stars are suns. So right there, the Moors traveled the seven seas and the ones that they don't teach us about. So they were at war with Moors, so-called black people, y'all. So if you understood that and were taught that in school, which they say is hell, school, that means hell in Hebrew. So they didn't teach you that. So look at those ships and look at those corvettes, because the word corvette comes from the sailing ships of the Moors. And the Pelican Europeans said our ships were so fast, they were like speedboats. Like Charles said, we had technology. So just like they had speedboats today, imagine ours. And mysteries of the Americas. Once again, before 1492, we were talking about the key people XI, the dragon. And once again, how do you spell dragon? Dragon. So you take off the D and you have a Ra. And then Gon, we know that Gon can change from vowels. So Dr Dragon. So uh, Ona. So Ra's gun. So this would mean that this would represent either a being who is cool with Ra, or a mothership or a vehicle that shot out fire or sun. So dragon, Ra's gun. And then as we close it out, Anpu, a Nubian, Anubis, yoga, yoga, remember, yoga, Yoga, vowels, right? Ya, or yuga, yaha. So once again, you see that ya or ye, because when you see those words like ya, that refers to you and us as Murs, Moors, and some would say the Israel, Isis, Ra, and Elohim, using those teachings and sciences. So yeah, that closes it out. And then once again, I talked about America 1492, and we'll talk about that later. And then ancient Egyptians and Chinese in America. July, August, September, October, Jason. And be sure to check us out at thematrixuniversity.com, where we have a virtual reality world, a virtual reality campus where you can do 360-degree field trips. Matter of fact, I'm going to close it out and show you peace and love, righteousness. Mothership is Coming soon. Jason.
For my queen, all my niggas kings, captain of my team. Life is just a dream, life ain't what it seems. You just a player in the game if you don't own the league. Hop on the magic carpet, fly with me to a whole new world that they call Elm Street. Stay away from haters, stay away from buses, because in Never Land ain't no room for these suckers. Stay away from haters, stay away from buses, because in Never Land ain't no room for these suckers. They say a nigga.
I'm gonna show you proof that melanated being.
Welcome to the world-famous King Tut Museum. Be sure to respect the ancient relics. The ancient Egyptians were a magical people who built numerous beautiful, magnificent structures, like the world-famous pyramids and temples. No running inside. Scientists till this very day still do not know how the Egyptians built the pyramids.
I wonder, did aliens ever visit ancient Egypt?
Wow, look at that giant Egyptian statue. It looks just like you, Jason.
Thanks, Toby. You're a super cool friend. Imagine what the world would look like if I was the pharaoh.
Jason, you are daydreaming. Wake up.
Sorry, history got away from me.